Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most horsepowerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive Extra Mile. It's not really the Xbox Drive show, but we're doing something extra because we just saw the Xbox Bethesda Showcase. I'm here with Court Lalonde and Ryan Turbert. Bah! Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Sean.
We did
what are those things called? Like those little fuzzy things with like the things on their ears and the things on their belly, and everybody was like thinking they're weird. Back in the day, the
Teletubbies? Teletubbies.
That's it.
I look like
Sean
a Teletubby
right now.
Teletubby tonight. Yes. It's good to see everybody here. Kevin Ainsworth is here. Hopefully everybody can hear you guys.
Oh my God, Kevin made it back from soccer.
I love it. The fact that Kevin was worried for a second there that he wouldn't make it like in time for us to go live, and we just had to delay things a little bit, Sean. And guess what? He showed up on time. So it all worked out. It was
literally the one thing I said when I first saw the chat. I'm like, where's Kevin?
We can just say we were waiting for Kevin Ainsworth to show up. That was you couldn't go live without him.
We're recording this for the actual podcast, but we're also live at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, which is amazing. I am wearing my coziest, most comfy hoodie at our world-class merch store, and I'm stoked about it. I want to throw something at you guys, just totally off script, because we're making it up as we go along here. I was on a flight until 1 o'clock in the morning last night. I'm all traveled out and everything. But we got a bunch of friends in the chat here too. I think it would kind of be fun if maybe one or two of them joined in with us at random times throughout. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think that'd be kind of fun. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, I won't turn anyone down.
There you go.
Maybe for example, if a certain other person who made predictions with us wanted to jump in here, I would not be against that.
That wouldn't be too terrible. That wouldn't be too bad. Yeah. But Ryan, why don't I turn things back over to you since I've got the stream going. My job is complete. I'm just going to sit here and look silly.
Absolutely. So folks at home, whether you're listening on podcast services or on youtube.com/carpoolgaming, this is our reactions to the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. We're basically going to run through the show, talk about everything that happened at the showcase. We're also going to talk a little about kind of our experience because we had a crazy weekend this weekend, and I would be remiss if we talked about this event and just didn't talk about that and kind of brush past that. So we'll talk about all of that, but. Obviously, if you're listening to this show for the very first time, maybe we're getting you for the first time because you wanted to hear people talk about the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase. Well, don't worry. Here's all the info you need to know to how to support us. Because if you like this show and you like what we do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on youtube.com/carpoolgaming if you're watching the live stream right now and you haven't done so already. Don't forget to like the live stream as well, or comment down below and tell us what some of your favorite things are from the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase. And if we get any of those, we'll read them on this week's episode of the Xbox Drive. Also, if you're listening to us on audio feeds, don't forget to hit that subscribe button there. Don't forget to rank us, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And last but not least, if you want early access to this and all of our shows, head over to patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar and out comes content as well. We have some merch, including that hoodie that Sean's wearing right now. Head on over to our merch store. Pick one up for yourself. If you are interested, you can head on over there. Also, I love the fact, Court, I think Fuya found in the chat our little bobbies. They're up here.
Oh, nice.
I think she's commenting on those. So those were actually given to us in person by Sean Capri, but they were really sent by one kind individual from the community. Marcus O'Neill, actually, his wife made these for us. They're handmade. In fact, I'm going to pull mine from the shelf so you guys can get a better look.
Yeah, mine's far. That's not
look at
close.
This little guy.
Dude, that's incredible, man. It's just a drawing, and she just took the drawing, and she I don't know, is it a cross stitch? Is that what cross stitch is?
Yeah,
some sort of knitting in 3D. She 3D printed with wool a bobby, and it's very sweet and very squishy.
And so we were going to bring it to the Xbox event, but it was raining, and because it is made of wool, we decided against it, and it stayed in the car. But
it was a good idea,
unfortunately. Yeah, otherwise, because it was raining, but when we go to events, if we can bring it, it will come with us.
Yeah. I mean, the best part is Court also got a bunch of photos of it as well in the hotel room, so we definitely had it there. Also, speaking of the hotel room, one other thing I want to plug real quick that may have been live if you're a patron already, you might have seen this already. We did a Summer Games Fest reaction podcast as well with 2 members of the community. So Jordan LaRose and Nagachaka actually joined us in person to record a podcast all about Summer Game Fest. It's up right now on the Patreon feed at the time you're listening to this, or it'll be up on all the feeds tomorrow morning. So if you want to hear our thoughts about Summer Game Fest, you can head on over there. So without further ado,
Kato, I call it immerse, by the way.
Yeah, we do need a purse. But
We need
anyways, before we get into everything that happened at the event, we got to talk about this weekend, because this weekend, I don't know about you guys, but it was pretty special to me. I mean, for one, it's always special to see, Sean and Court in person. I mean, even though Court and I have only met twice in person before, Sean and I have, seen each other in person plenty of times. It's always special to see you guys in person, getting to record a podcast together in person. But then also was really special too, getting to hang out with everyone that came out this weekend, because we had a lot of people come out to free play with us, because that was one of the bars we went to in Toronto, as well as just everyone who came up and said hi to us at the Xbox FanFest Showcase. I thought that was like a really special experience. It just warmed my heart all weekend. And
speak of hotel room, Donnie, Reece.
Yeah.
Wow, it wasn't even a hotel.
That we don't get.
There was couch
we don't
time.
We don't want them to track you down, Court. But yeah, I really enjoyed this weekend. All of this, of course, was huge thanks to our friends over at Xbox Canada for inviting us to the Xbox FanFest Showcase. But I'm gonna start with Court. Court, how was the weekend? How did you enjoy things, buddy?
I messaged Sean this morning that it was like it all hit me, because I the whole time Sean's like, every 2 seconds Sean's like, you excited? I'm like, I guess so. I'm like, it didn't, the whole thing that happened this weekend just didn't really hit me till this morning. I woke up and I was like watching the 4K stream of the Xbox event. I'm like, I was there. And I had to like years and years of watching E3 and watching all these events, and then just realizing that I was physically there. And then I put that little video together, and I put the song Time of Your Life to it. And I was like literally getting a little choking up, because it was just so much everything I've done in a long time, and it all got to this, and it was so awesome. I got to meet so many people, and then I started realizing, like, Jesus, Adam, I didn't even get to meet, and yet we're in the same photo together. I didn't even meet him.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, Adam, I didn't even know you were there. He's like, and then Gamer Graham like replies with like, yeah, you guys were 4 people over from each other. And so, I wish I had more time. And like I said, the next time we do some sort of event like this in Toronto, we're going to try and get everybody together for like a dinner and go somewhere and go sit on a patio where everybody could just have a good time, talk, and just get to know each other better. Because I found my biggest takeaway was the community is just awesome.
Yeah,
like
man.
Not just the carpool gaming community is awesome. Like meeting Nagachaka, hanging out with Jordan, it was awesome. But then hanging out with like all the guys from Press YYZ and Mitch, and then we hung out with Steve, and it was just Dapper. It was just
TJ.
It was over.
There's so many people. Like we're gonna not.
Was overwhelming. Like TJ brought cookies, man.
Yeah, dude.
It was so awesome. I don't know. It was so awesome. And then you get to see everything. Like we figured out that we were 5 minutes ahead. So you're looking on social media, and I'm like, technically we could have gave away everything. Like it was just, I don't know. It was just awesome.
I never realized that. That's interesting too. Yeah. Wow.
We were 5 minutes ahead of the
could have been the spoilers,
everybody else could see. We were 5 minutes ahead.
Oh,
and
wow.
also, by the way, I don't know what it is. The donuts that they had there were the greatest donuts ever.
I think that was the biggest reason why you needed to leave Bobby in the car, because you wouldn't be able. You got the donut hands, and you can't
and the
be
popcorn with green popcorn.
We had green popcorn, probably not great for the
digestive
system.
And I would like to thank our 2 people at Xbox Canada. They are rock stars, and we got to meet other people from Xbox Canada, which was phenomenal.
Yep.
So it was awesome.
Yeah, they went a little too hard for us for video games, man. We're just like this lowly podcast, and they like do this whole thing. It is overwhelming, and I'm glad that you're kind of like talking this out loud, Court, because yeah, as somebody who has done this once or twice before, like it is hard to remember sometimes. It's like it's hard to process. It's a lot to go to these things and like see all these people and like what do you do next and what's gonna happen and all these things. And I'm so glad that you were able to take that all in. And honestly, like you're so natural at all this that I forgot that you hadn't really done any of this before. I'm like, you've been with this the whole time. Like you've been on this journey with us this whole time, but you actually haven't. So I'm just glad that finally we're out of the pandemic and you're able to actually join us for a live event. And it was awesome, man. It was very special. Very cool.
It was weird when we first got there, when we met some people from the PR and the people from Xbox Canada. He's like, oh, I've seen you on YouTube. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it was
like they knew my name. They're like, hey, Cord, how's it going? I'm like, hi.
So cool, man.
How you doing?
Yeah.
It was weird.
It was definitely a little bit weird for sure, especially too because like this was the first time I'd been to an Xbox specific event before. Like I've been to a bunch of other, video game press events for Nintendo, WB, Ubisoft, and a whole bunch of other companies. But it was the first time going to a Microsoft event, but it just, I don't know, it felt like, it felt like there was a really big sense of community going there.
Yes.
Especially too, because this event wasn't just for press; it was also just for fans of Xbox too. So, getting to sit in the FanFest kind of arena to watch the press conference together was like, it just felt like a really special experience for me, and I was so glad we got a chance to go there. And again, huge thanks, like Cork said, to both the two individuals at Xbox Canada who helped put this together, and have just always been very supportive of both our set of podcasts here at Carpool Gaming, but also even just going back to my early days. Working on Game Moose. We've been partnered with Xbox since 2016 at this point. I remember reviewing it, like stuff like Halo Wars 2 and stuff like that with them. We're kind of like the first review copies we got from Xbox, and they've always been super supportive of all the content that I've been working on over the years. And now I'm so glad they're kind of in our corner as well. So yeah, I think it was a totally awesome event, and I can't wait to maybe see more of Xbox Canada over the summer. Wink, wink. At some point, but more than that too is, like Cor said as well, just getting to see the community again was also a great thing, because we haven't seen them in person in so long. Like there were so many people there that I hadn't seen in like 3 or 4 years in person. Like we'd interacted on Twitter, but we hadn't like seen each other in person in so long. So it was almost like a mini kind of like family reunion.
Oh,
almost.
there's no doubt about that.
There was a lot of hugging. I've learned there was in the Xbox community, people like to hug.
We hug.
Yes.
I learned that actually when I met Ryan for the first time in the crew from Game Moose. That was okay, we're huggers. So I guess that's what's happening, and that was amazing. I want to shout out the entire Carpool Gaming community, like our community, the people who listen and engage and leave comments and hang out in the Discord and all the things for all the years. Like, there's wonderful people who have opened doors for us on the PR side, but like PR doesn't take notice. They don't make those things happen for us if we don't have what we have. And what we have is something very, very special. People could check out literally thousands of other podcasts. You could be doing a gazillion other different things, but you guys choose to be there with us. You choose to support us on this journey. And you're really like allowing us to live our dreams. And there was a moment at the conference where I think it was afterwards, where somebody, I think it was Dapper, said we should get a picture, and everybody just like piled on in, and it started with like 4 people, and then there was 6, and then there was 14, and there was probably like 20 or 25. It was like a classroom photo.
It was huge.
Yep.
That was the moment for me where I was like, oh, this seems like a level up from anything I'd ever been to before.
Where I even joked to Dapper because he was standing beside me, and I'm like, hey, you sure you want me in this photo? I had like Steve Saylor beside me,
totally,
Steve Igvari and Dapper, and I'm like, But then it was even awesome. As soon as that photo was taken, community member Gamergram screams over, hey, let's get a photo over here. And all the people that weren't on the side that we were on, because there was an actual side where it was weird. Yeah. But anyways, Gamergram, Jordan, we all went on. We all got a photo on the other side with Master Chief. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild, dude. And like with all of that said, and by the way, Gamer Graham I'd never like seen before, but like his profile picture is a toy or something. So like feel like I've known him forever. He's just he's an absolute sweetheart. Everybody really is. But like this, before as we maybe transition into what we actually thought of the show, it's worth saying, if people haven't noticed already, we were hyped about the environment that we were in, the company that we kept, and the whole experience. I think fed into what I've come away with is that this is a really positive show, that this was really great. But I was also just there to be hyped up, man. Like I was like Donnie, I'm eating up every little bit. I didn't scream quite as loudly at Persona as Ryan did, which we will get at. But I was excited, man. This was a cool thing. This was a very exciting event for us to be part of, and I'm stoked that we now get to review and kind of talk about our impressions just a day later. There's no way for us to have done it yesterday, so here we are as soon as possible getting it done.
But for the future, anytime there's an event like this and we're going to this, we can promise you the day before, we're all going to be there. We want the community. We want to meet everybody because, like I said, that was one of my biggest takeaways, just meeting up with everybody and getting to know more people. Like, I feel like I know Nagachaka now. Like, the guy's amazing.
Dude, he picked me up from the airport. He's like, when can I pick? He was there early. I had my brother pick me up from the airport in Vancouver one time. He was 45 minutes late. Like, people in the community treat me better than my own family sometimes. times, dude. I'm laughing because my family might be watching right now. My dad Googled me today, by the way. He wanted to see what we were up to this weekend. So he sent me a screenshot of him Googling my name, Sean Capri 2022 conference. And he found the Xbox stuff.
Oh, nice.
So,
Well,
yeah, pretty
that's
weird.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you did get a shout out during the show,
Yes,
like the
very
pre-show,
cool.
where we're like,
Marissa.
"And Sean Capri's out there somewhere."
I'm a big fan. Yeah.
I
Yes,
love
but
that.
Sean made it known if we're getting started now. So it was me, Sean, and Ryan, and my buddy Matt from Xbox A. We were all sitting in a row together, and every single time they said the world premiere on the screen, Sean said the word loudly,
Hey, that's
world
not true.
premiere.
I
Me and
said
many
it too.
others, dude. There was a crowd all saying
Yeah.
world premiere. We filled in the
premiere.
blanks, dude. It was. I love this stuff.
Yeah, Sean
'Cause they
kept
did-
turning to me
they-
going, I think they need to turn it up louder. I think they need to turn it up louder. It's not loud enough. This needs to be louder.
How old does it seem? Like we're the old men in the back. Turn it up.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't rehire the world premiere guy, so we had to fill in for him. Anyways.
Definitely.
But
Happy to.
last thing I'm going to say on this subject before we jump into the showcase as well. One thing we also found during this experience as well is that there's a lot of other really talented people in Canada in the media space that we just don't always give enough attention to, and we want to highlight a little bit. So you're gonna probably start seeing some new faces coming in
man.
on Carpool Gaming content. We were talking about that at the event, so expect to maybe see some new faces pretty soon. Wink, wink. But we'll talk about that later, because right now we're talking about the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase. Let's finally get into it. We got to give our thoughts about this, Sean. So I'm excited to go through the show. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through each announcement and kind of talk about it. There are some things, admittedly, that we're going to kind of zoom through at least a little bit. But for the most part, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff to discuss, and we'll talk about the overall show afterwards. So we're going to start with Redfall. It was the first thing we saw at the show. It was kind of the one more thing that we saw last year, which they closed the show with kind of a cinematic trailer. But the big theme for this show that they made it very evident right away with was this show was pretty much just going to be all gameplay, except for certain trailers that they couldn't do. So, and that's exactly what we saw from Redfall, where we saw a pretty lengthy gameplay demo of this game, and now we have a very good idea of what you're going to be doing in this game, what it actually plays like. And then there was kind of a cinematic trailer to kind of, round things out, or actually, sorry, a gameplay trailer to kind of round things out. And again, we know it's coming out sometime in the next the first 6 months of 2023. So, Court, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about Redfall?
My hype level was like here, and then after watching that trailer, it was I want to play this game as soon as it comes out. I want to have community nights with it, like this we can play on Saturday and on streams on a Saturday. Like it just turned into a, oh my god, I actually want to play this game. It's almost like it's probably true. The reason this game is delayed is because they looked at it and they were like, what is this? We need to pivot. We need to make this different. We don't want to just put out another game that, goes off and dies. They looked at a lot of things in it that were fun. Like when we started out and they're just up in that attic and then they're killing the one vampire and then, oh my god, another vampire pops out. It didn't look bad. Like it looked like there was fun. It looked like there was a nice level up system. They were talking about the different guns and such you can pick up. They were showing the screens because we saw screenshots before, and I know Sean doesn't like leaks, so he didn't see them, but they were
Total
leaked
blackout,
screenshots.
dude. I made it.
Yeah.
I
No.
got to the whole
I'm
thing.
talking about like months ago. They showed like pre-alpha of this game.
Yep.
And it looked brutal. And then when we watched this, it like blew my mind how crisp it looked. How well thought out it looked when they talked about the different class systems, even though they're characters, but they were different class. They all had different powers and such. And they were showing people you could play. They even like answered questions by how you could play single player, or you can have friends jumping in and out while you're playing this game. It just made me think of a game that I really like is The Division, where it is a multiplayer game, but yet you can still play it single player and still complete everything. And that right then and there got me all hyped for this game even more, because I was like, I don't play online a lot with people. I play when I can. So for me to be able to finish this game or play it as such on my own made me want to play this game even more.
Nice. Sean, what did you think?
My expectations were in the basement. They were below the basement. I'm going to say it, man. I haven't fallen in love with the Dishonored games like a lot of people have. I've wanted to, but unfortunately, I just haven't really been able to in the past. I thought that the way that this game was revealed for the very first time as like the one more thing, and then we got what we got at E3 last year, like just didn't really set things off in the way that I would have wanted to. I felt like there was a lot of confusion around this game. Like, what is it? Is it Left 4 Dead? Is it something else? I don't particularly love vampires. Like all these things, like kind of playing against it, and they launch into gameplay. I'm like, this looks pretty dope. This looks pretty dang good. Like with all those things considered. And the other thing that I want to mention too is, as we were watching live on a big screen kind of thing, like we were not watching a stream of the show. We actually got to see a high quality version of all of this stuff. So live, we're watching this stuff, and I'm going, this looks pretty good. And I also felt like they were making a statement by launching right into gameplay. Like they were not joking around. They were starting with something that we haven't seen before. There's a ton of variety overall in the show as well that I appreciated, that I'm sure we will be covering. But this is a new IP. I thought it showed quite well. It turned me into a believer, and it's just one of many games coming to Game Pass over the next 12 months, my friends.
Yeah, that was the theme. Like for people, when we were there live, every 2 seconds it was coming to Game Pass, day and date, Game Pass, day and date. Game Pass day and date.
Well, again, there was no game they showed that was not coming to Game Pass, except for the two Activision ones. But we kind of already know they're coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, they're coming to Game Pass.
Yeah. Well, Donnie Reece has joined us as well. And I'm guessing Donnie Reece wants to talk about Redfall. So what did Donnie think about Redfall?
Greetings, Kooplings.
Yeah, Donnie!
I loved Redfall, to be honest with you. I thought it looked... it's definitely... I haven't thought of like doing any rankings. It's one of my favorite games of the show, at least.
Damn.
Like one of two, top three for sure. Maybe top two. It's probably between that and Motorsport, to be honest with you, in terms of just like evaluating what was shown. I was here for all of it. I thought it looked great. I was very excited to Echo Court to see them talk about. Yeah, it's co-op, but you can play it solo. But it has a story, but it's very narrative rich. But it's open world. I'm like, now. I'm sitting over here just like, now you guys are talking my language.
Yes.
I thought the vampires looked cool. I thought the style, it reminded me a bit of Infinite Warfare's like zombies mode. They had like this 80s zombies mode, like very kind of like colorful and cartoony. Just kind of smashed with like Left 4 Dead, which I think a lot of people are going with. So I'm very excited. I don't know. I don't know if I'm planning to play that with friends or solo. Probably solo.
That's
One
how
thing
you
I
do.
did like is the combining of powers that I was noticing. So when you do play in co-op, because they kept the one person was up on top, the one character, I guess the sniper character that can change colors, but they also had that power where they could lift up the ground when that tombstone came out of the ground, and the person was able to jump onto it and do shooting. So I'm wondering, because I like Donnie, I wanted to be able to play it in both. I'm wondering if you're able to almost have like a ghost character in there, maybe. I don't know. I want to know more. It would be kind of neat.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know either, but maybe.
Yeah. I thought Redfall also looked pretty cool. I mean, my personal hype level is only lower because I've never been able to get into any of Arcane's games. Like, the closest I got was with Deathloop, and even then, like, I just fell off of it way quicker than I would have thought to. And just like stuff like Dishonored and Prey has never really felt good with me. So I hope this is awesome. It looks awesome from the previews. It looks like a good step in the right direction, I think, for the studio. So I'm excited that people are excited for it, and I hope it's awesome. So again, it's coming out in 2023. We know everything from the showcase that they showed will be out before kind of this time next year.
Yeah.
So unless it gets delayed again for whatever.
Let me ask you. I was going to say, let me ask you about that, because they did definitely made a case about that. Did anybody like maybe just slightly wince when they went for that commitment? It's a tough commitment given like the industry where we've been.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, I hope we don't have too many delays.
I mean, I felt like it was very in line with what Nintendo has been doing, and I've been waiting for Xbox to at least adopt some of that strategy. But Nintendo's never really said as like a JPEG, the next 12 months of Nintendo. But they have certainly pitched their directs or showcases in that way.
Yeah, they with Nintendo, they don't announce so many things so early. Whereas Xbox seems very eager to announce things, and I think that's where we run into this sort of thing. So just with what we've been through for the last 18, 24 months, it was definitely in the back of my head. I was like, I hope everything makes it.
Well, I was glad that they did years instead of dates, actual dates, unless the stuff was actually coming out in 2022. They were just like, hey, 2023. And if you look at some of those games that are 2023, because I don't know if you guys noticed when they put out that graphic, Stalker 2 is now 2023.
Yeah.
Never announced the delay, but it's there for 2023.
Nice.
So that is not coming out. But you have Stalker 2, you have a bunch of games that they were supposed to come out this year already. So I would think that they're on a good path to come next year.
I hope so.
I will say that the Stalker, one of the Stalker developers said that Microsoft made a mistake and that it is still coming out December 8th.
Oh,
see.
that's weird.
Yeah, because that was on the big graphic while we were sitting there. Like, that was one of the things I noticed.
Ryan.
I noticed the same thing. Yep.
I don't know how, with everything else that's going on in the world, how that conceivably comes out this year.
Yeah,
but if they say it is, I will believe them until it's December.
I did think that whole graphic when it came up on the screen, I was like, oh, 3 games don't have game. Oh, and I looked at the 3 games that said no Game Pass, Call of Duty, Diablo. And I was like, oh, they're all Activision games that don't say Game Pass right now, but everything else says Game Pass above it.
On that graphic, they also had Dead Space and Resident Evil listed too, but those weren't in the presentation. So
they had a lot of things.
Technically, those games will come to Game Pass as well, right? Dead Space is EA, so technically it does come to Game Pass.
Resident Evil won't.
I count 10 games on that graphic that aren't coming to Game Pass.
Including Forza Horizon 5 DLC.
Correct. Yes. I just happened to have gone through it for my own notes for our podcast this week, and I've tallied everything up. So I just happen to have the numbers in front of me.
Forza, they made that clear when that game dropped, Forza Horizon, that you had to buy the premium add-on bundle if you wanted the DLC for the future. They made it clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As they always do.
Because I did see some people get a little wah-wah about it on the internet. I was like,
can't include everything on Game Pass.
Exactly. And they made a point of this in that game release.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, next game they showed was very surprising unless you were court and saw the leaks ahead of time. Hollow Knight Silksong made an appearance. This I was not expecting to see here. No date or anything listed, just a gameplay trailer where you're playing as Hornet and you're going around killing stuff. Kevin Ainsworth, by the way, from Project X Talk, has joined us, by the way, if you're listening on audio. And Kevin, what do you think about Hollow Knight Silksong being at this event?
So I've never played Hollow Knight, but this game looks awesome. I can understand why people are excited. And I will say that the person playing it, phenomenal at this game. They
probably the maker of it.
So good. I was like, oh my lord.
Dude probably made the game.
Yeah. He probably is just developing it. But no, I think it was really good. I'm surprised it still doesn't have a date, because that was one I thought for sure would be September or later this year. Yeah. But listen, who's got that in the fantasy draft between you and Trophy Room there? So maybe it needs to come out next year.
We have counterpicked it, man. I was so as excited as I was about all these announcements. There was a couple times throughout the show I would send a message over to Bad Bit and Kyle saying you fool, we are going to win it all. But what was the announcement of it? This was the second game, and then was the big deal that it's coming to Game Pass? Was that news to us?
So not only that, but also the news that it will be here day one of release, because originally it was just thought to be a Nintendo exclusive, a timed exclusive.
Oh,
but
I was too busy just shit talking the Trophy Room. So
I was going to say I read some of those messages. You were extremely.
We're not messing around. We're not messing around.
You weren't messing around at all.
Chat.
Well, they're not messing around with us.
I was going to say Joe fired first. Yeah. He's on.
As he does.
He's on.
Yeah. So, as the Shack Master yourself, Donnie, what did you think about the Hollow Knight Silksong being at Xbox? This was really surprising.
My history with Hollow Knight is tormented and sad. I don't know if you guys all want it, but we were so early on Hollow Knight. I was yelling about Hollow Knight a year before release. I thought it was just the most beautiful game I've ever seen. Just it's gothic, macabre. Just awesome. I was like, this game is going to be amazing. I remember the Nintendo Direct that it launched in. It was out now. Me and Jason ran to download and play it. And then I met the Soul Master, and then I realized that I can't do Hollow Knight. I hate Hollow Knight.
Damn.
So this announcement, while it is a big announcement, and I definitely understand that there are people that have been dying for any drip of information about Silksong for years. I understand that. Does very little for me. I keep telling myself that maybe one day I'll go back. I've gotten some training under my belt. I've done some Death's Door and stuff since then. So maybe maybe I can go back and maybe I can progress forward. But the thing that kills me is Jason showed me like what the end game of that game looks like, where he was taking on like 4 Soul Masters at once, and I was like,
yeah.
I couldn't do one. Like I don't have a chance. They've never ever put in like an easy mode or any sort of like a trainer. Like it is just, this is exactly the way developers want it to be played. So
I'm out now. You just, I'm out.
Sorry, I hate like
No,
I've done
you
both the
saved me
Ori
money.
games to completion. Like I don't feel
Game
like I'm
Pass.
terrible, but Hollow Knight fans are like, you're shit. Like you're just terrible.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
Hollow Knight is really difficult. So
It's
like,
a amazing game. So if anybody out there is interested, I definitely suggest you give it a try. It's only gonna be like $20-$30, and then we're
Game
gonna get it
Pass.
on Game Pass, so it doesn't matter. It is
Say
a
it again,
beautiful
Sean.
game.
Game
It's
Pass.
gorgeous.
Game Pass.
We got
Game
a little-
Pass podcast.
Little song.
but yeah, I would normally go to Court or Sean here, but I don't think either of you are. Well, maybe Sean is. Sean, are
I
you
would jump
interested
in. Don't
Hollow
worry
Knight?
about me. No, I'm good.
No, I was gonna say I don't
In
think
the
you
interest
guys
of time. Yep, we got 5 people here. We can keep going.
Yeah, Hollow Knight, I'm excited for it as well, but I still think that's like, even though they didn't give a date, I think that's like early 2023 probably. But next
Yeah.
up, a game that Sean was probably the only person I saw in the arena that was excited about this one.
Holiday
High
game.
on Life, coming to us from
Oh.
the Rick and Morty creators.
Whoa,
This
whoa,
is the
whoa!
one
I
where
was
they-
the only
I
one.
loved that. Was me. I was
Yeah.
loving every minute of that game.
Yeah, man.
Everyone on my stream was loving this game.
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah. I'm everything about this game and more. I love Rick and Morty. Everything about everything I saw, the world, the knife stabbing the guy in the head, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Stab it." That was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, I always said that because like when we were watching it at FanFest, like when this was happening, I heard like almost like a pin drop, unless it was coming from Quarter Sean's direction with this game. So
I don't know if we were in the same room, dude. I don't think that's the reaction at all. But in any case, I'm not going to sit
but
here
either
and argue
way,
about it.
it looks like an interesting shooter. You've got a gun that talks to you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is coming out in October, which is probably going to be a tough time for a game like this.
Yes.
But it'll be in Game Pass, so we'll play it, a little bit later, anyways. But moving on from that, we got what I
Sean, what are you
think
doing?
might be.
He's trying to get Donnie to give him a high five.
No, I'm trying to get you to give me a high five. That was me and you. But in any case,
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
don't mind me.
I,
Oh yeah, both of you guys. Yeah, Brady Bunch. Yeah.
I think the way Discord works is it shifts everyone around on everyone's
What a
screen.
mess.
But moving on, I think this next announcement might be one of the most important announcements that Microsoft has made in the last year, and that is Riot Games partnering with Game Pass. The reason why I think this is so important is this announcement is huge for people who play one of the biggest games in the world, and that game is League of Legends, because what this partnership allows you to do is it basically gives you all of the champions in League of Legends for free, which is like a $200 a year value.
Is it really?
Combined with the fact that you get all of the champions unlocked in Valorant, which is a very popular shooter that they do. You get a whole bunch of other stuff in Legends of Runeterra, Teamfight Tactics, as well as like every other game that Riot Games makes going forward, essentially. Like, I think this is a gigantic megaton announcement.
Justin
Even
had-
though I don't think we're the demographic for Riot games, but for those that play these games, like, this is going to add so many more Game Pass subscribers just for the League champions alone, I think.
Yeah.
It was one of the smartest announcements they made besides the JRPG announcement. I thought this was a very well executed announcement for the future and shaping Game Pass to be a lot bigger than a lot of people think. We talked about that possible 30 million subscribers is probably up by now if it was 25 million before. A game like this for my brother and most of his friends, they're all PC only. This would make them jump up and down as crazy as Ryan did when they announced that one game. Like 3 games. Like this is so huge and strategic. And you can look at Sony right now getting into PC, but this is Xbox saying, "Hey, we're not just for consoles. You really can just play Game Pass anywhere."
Justin did the math, Ryan. So if I can back you up there, he writes 125 million monthly active players of League of Legends will be able to unlock all champions, a value of $641.
Good
Oh my God.
Once this happens. And that is not counting the 16 million players that play Valorant, where they can get all the agents as well.
Yeah.
So everybody
Which
who was saying that Microsoft couldn't afford to get Cyberpunk as a day one, it was a choice. It wasn't a money thing. They do what they want up in
They made the
here.
right
Well, I
choice.
mean, You
But
didn't see them
definitely,
buy.
they definitely made the
you
right
didn't see them
choice.
buy Call of Duty. Yeah,
I'm
they
just
can write any
saying,
check they want.
they do what they want. This is enormous. That's huge. There was another interesting stat somebody had mentioned. I think it might have been in some of the materials that was released before, not E3, which talked about the deal with Fortnite being available on xCloud now, and there was a whole bunch of new people who came in and played that, and like 25% of them were new to Xbox, which is remarkable. Like, these are, again, not maybe some of us aren't playing some of these games, but everyone else is. Like, I was definitely thinking about that on the flight home, that we need to do a better job of bringing in voices of the people who play these games that we just don't do. And actually, somebody in the chat, Robbie Bobby Miller, plays a game like Warframe all the time. So there's these games that live on forever that have a gazillion people playing them. I think this is fascinating. I'd love to hear more of the voices from these communities and people who play.
And they
these
were
games.
very smart when they made that Fortnite announcement. If you look at the clips, they had everybody holding iPads or iPhones, because that was a little,
little shot.
Hey, you can't play this on your iPad, but guess what? You can now.
Yeah, man.
And that does get people to play it. Like, when I told some of my friends who have their kids are playing Fortnite all the time, like, oh, well, they technically can now play it on their iPad. He's like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Because like they taking over the TV because it got taken away from them. He's like, no, you can go back on the phone now. Like, just it's on Game Pass. Just go play it.
Yep.
All right, moving on. I have to go to Kevin Ainsworth for this next one because a Plague Tale Requiem was shown. Kevin actually made a prediction about Plague Tale on our predictions episode that he joined us on before the showcase. So they showed a new gameplay trailer for the game, showed off some of the game's combat as well as a lot of the sneaking mechanics and some of the new mechanics with the rats, which were pretty cool. No new date, just still 2022. Much to Kevin's
there is a
chagrin,
date.
because he wanted to win.
Yeah, there was a
just
date.
2022.
Yeah, it wasn't dated in the show, but it has since been dated. It's coming out in like 2 weeks.
Oh.
It's being the reveal for the reveal date is next week at the Focus Home Interactive Showcase. They're going to reveal the release date.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because I just rewatched the showcase before we started.
Yeah,
It wasn't
just said
dated in the
2020.
showcase, but
No.
I think
No, it's the reveal date is in their the Focus Home Interactive next week. Their showcase next week. I saw it this morning and I was very much like, why didn't you just say it yesterday? But also, how good does this game look?
Game looks good, actually.
Looks
It does
really
look
good. It's taken a step up from a Plague Tale Innocence, where you get more combat options, which was one of the big criticisms. So, like, you see Amicia stabbing people now. You see her using like a flame bomb. She can push people into rats, and then you have I don't want to go into spoilers for like what the rat power is, but you did see an alternate version of what you saw from the first game with those rat powers. I think this game is going to be phenomenal. It looks like Asobo they're just really good at these types of games, right? Like, they make Microsoft Flight Simulator, they made a Plague Tale Innocence. They're just a very talented studio. But why couldn't it be day one? And then I would have got my prediction right.
I was going to ask you, man. Do you remember what your prediction was? It was available today, and you know me, like, and I've received quite a few messages on my opinions of the first Plague Tale, which have not been all that positive. I gotta say, like, I looked at this thing and I was really taken back, dude. This looks really, really good. And if they can prove to me that this is more than a glorified and the greatest ever escort mission of all time, I'm in. And they definitely showed me a couple of those things. A little bit of an aggressive lighting of a candle outside of the building. It looked like dude, I thought she was gonna light the building on fire. She's like, I just need a little light. I just need to turn on a lamp. I'm like, tone it down a little bit. Don't need to be so
I was
angry.
excited because the first game I thought was a little too scripted. There was a lot of really nice stealth puzzles, but there only seemed to be like one solution for me. Especially, I only played about half of it, so I'm not sure how the second half of the game gets if it builds onto that. But I already saw her, hiding in more grass with multiple paths, hiding under tables, that sort of stuff. So it had me intrigued. I was like, maybe this one will build on the first one, and I'll have a little bit more control.
Yeah,
Sorry, Ryan, you can go.
No, go ahead, Kevin.
I was gonna say, I think you're spot on there, where it does look like a little more open, and I think just from the combat options it showed off, I think they're building on that, because we saw her sniping someone with a crossbow, and that's something you never would have seen in the first one, because in the first one, for half the game, it is like, if you get caught, you're gonna die. because you just don't have recourse. But later on in the game, in Innocence, you do get more options. Like you can knock people out if they catch you with like a powder. So there are options to defend yourself, but you never get the aggressive nature that Amicia seems to have in this one.
Yeah, and the combat wasn't. I realized it was a stealth game, so I was never really looking for combat. I just wanted a little more agency, a little more control over the narrative. Like, let me, I always, every time I've talked about this game this week, I keep invoking Hitman, and I don't want to suggest that they go that route, but Hitman gives you the ability to find the solution, as opposed to like a Plague Tale is just like, here is the solution. I would love to have, maybe there's 3 or 4 solutions. You figure it out. That would be great.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think I leaned over to you, Ryan. I said, like, could you kill people in the first one? Because this seems totally different. But yeah, I definitely am. I'm on board more so than I was before, Ryan.
Yeah, I think this is going to be like a really fun, like stealth-like experience, and yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about this one. So again, we'll look for it sometime later this year. Hopefully, we get the date soon at the Focus Home Entertainment Showcase, and we'll be able to hopefully put a date on this one pretty soon. I've got it in Fantasy League, so I just, I'm a little bit biased. I want it to do well. But next up, what might have been one of the best-looking games at the showcase, Forza Motorsport.
Oh boy,
let's go!
A certain someone to my right on my Discord screen, Mr. Sean Capri, was very, very excited about this one. So, Sean, where's your hype level with Forza Motorsport?
Okay, I want to, because I feel like I'm talking way too much with all these wonderful people here.
You're not.
I'm a huge fan of Forza. I have been basically converted at around 5. Definitely 6 was the game that really caught me in just the way that it's way more accessible than anybody realizes. They see simulating racing game and they get a little bit scared off. I'm here to tell you, I'm not good at games. I'm not good at racing games. But the way that they can incentivize you to play with all the different like tweaks and the way you can make it your own, very, very cool. With all that said, what typically happens with a racing game reveal is, let's show you how fast these cars can go and how amazing everything looks and blah, 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 and how like just all the frames. They did the opposite. They said, here's the game running. We have 0 tricks up our sleeve, and we're going to slow things down tremendously. And this is such an interesting strategy from Xbox to differentiate how this game shows. And there are no tricks. There are no camera cuts. They're slowing things down. They're not like blowing past stuff that looks like garbage. They're slowing things down. You can see the cracks in the road. You can see the differences in the daytime and how it reflects in the lighting. Even the damn temperature of the asphalt changes as the day cools as you go from day to night.
They showed the dew on the track in the morning.
I don't really know if I have a whole lot more to say about this other than to say it showed really well. I appreciated the difference in the way this is typically kind of shown. And I'm here for it, man. Ray tracing shots at Gran Turismo all day long, man. So yeah.
I was loving the fact that they showed the damages on the car and were showing how you can have a different wear and tear. And I was like, before he even said it, I was like, oh my God, they're showing wear and tear on just like the rims of the car on certain spots. And they were talking about that. And then they were, as friend of the show, Brock, he made that joke. It looked like Cars, the trailer from Cars 3 when that car was flipping over. And I was like, yeah, it kind of does. But I did find it a little funny. And they were like, and you get ray tracing while racing. And I was just like, oh, they did take a shot. Okay, all right.
On Series S, too, they said ray tracing and X and S in the same sentence.
Yeah, Ryan and I talked about that right away. Both of us turned to each other and were like, 30 frames per second, though.
Yeah,
like it's 30 frames. Yeah. But sure, it's going to be there. The game looked beautiful. I can't wait to play it. I became a huge Forza fan on Horizon, and then I went back and played the old Motorsport, and I'm in.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So early 2023. So I know a lot of people... I saw a lot of disappointment after the show about it being delayed till next year or just coming out next year as opposed to this fall with no kind of like quote unquote big game from Microsoft this fall. But I actually think their strategy is going to work out pretty well this year. Agreed. Because we got the other announcement, which is Forza Horizon 5's DLC add-on pack. So we actually have Hot Wheels DLC coming in July, which is basically kind of like a new version of the DLC from Forza Horizon 3, but now in 5, with some new cars, some new tracks. It looks pretty cool. Like I think the Hot Wheels expansion for Forza Horizon 3 was pretty fun. Like me and Brock McLaughlin actually played that for like 10 hours and had a really good time with it. So I'm imagining this is going to be pretty fun. Yes, I know I'm shocking Sean right now because I was talking about saying good things about a racing game for once.
Yeah, but I'm just waiting for him to be like, he was right.
That's
He
what
was
I was waiting for.
100%
I was
right.
pulling
Like,
up
I'm
the
waiting
prediction
for
sheet
it.
on my
Like, I'm
iPad here. I'm like,
waiting
just
for it.
okay, Ryan, you can tie it together here.
I was gonna wait till the end of the show to start gloating about.
I've been pushing that as well because we haven't people. It seemed like a month ago everybody would just assume that Motorsport was this November. I kept trying to remind people. I was like, we don't even have an expansion pack for Horizon yet.
Yes, sir.
And we're supposed to have 2 of them.
Yeah, there's supposed to be another one coming out this year too.
Of them. I was like, so I wouldn't be surprised if that second one comes this fall either. But I started to catch the drift on Twitter this past week that a lot of people started to suggest that they might want to push Horizon into a spring release going
From now
forward.
on. Yeah.
And this might be a part of that. It's kind of a shift to make sure that they kick this off in the spring every year, or every 2 years as their dev cycle permits.
Yeah, I think it was different.
It looked unbelievable. It looked very ambitious. Oddly enough, I showed my 5-year-old this trailer, and because she loves just driving around in Forza in Horizon. It's one of her favorite games. And I showed her this, and her jaw dropped. She was just like, "Oh my, loop-de-loops, Daddy, loop-de-loops."
Loop-de-loops.
It looked
I was
amazing.
personally hoping for Lego. I played both, and I thought the Hot Wheels was good, but I thought the Lego was great. But this Hot Wheels is not what we played before. This is much better Hot Wheels. If you go back and rewatch the trailer, and if you read their blog post is very significant detailing of what's going on. And I'm just very happy that we're going to have more boards to smash and more ramps to jump and all that. So I'm just happy to be let loose back into Horizon.
Those giant Hot Wheels tracks and like throughout the sky and like the landscape, though, don't they look a little like out of place? Like they look silly, like fun.
That's the
That's
point.
the point.
I know. I'm like,
They're like, we're getting weird. Get in here, guys.
You know what it is? So
It's Hot Wheels.
Yes.
I don't know what else. It's fun. It's a toy. Like I grew up in the '80s. Hot Wheels are awesome.
Well, and the second expansion will end up probably being something realistic, kind of like I think it was like.
I hope not. I hope they don't.
I hope it's Lego.
Yeah, same.
I hope it is Lego.
Bring out the toys, man.
Cool.
This is like living through the mind's eye of a child building like the Hot Wheels set, and you're like, I've got real cars. We're not joking around. These aren't toys anymore. And this is awesome. It's very imaginative. I don't want
because you have motorsport. Motorsport is the realistic, like
totally.
That's
Or an
one of the
entire.
things I love Forza about. It's just fun. Like you get the warthog in that game. Like come on now.
The thing just hit me as like an entire Day of the Dead like expansion where everything is just kind of forward Halloween themed, like comes in right around October.
They did some stuff in May.
Amazing. There's
it
some
wasn't Day of the Dead. You're right. Yeah, it was.
but
they
there's
did
some stuff already there.
They were not good.
So
the floats were terrible.
Just doing a whole expansion like that would be pretty cool. But yeah, so we got that first set in July, and the second one should be coming out later this year. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about with Forza.
Yeah, and Ryan was right.
Ryan was right.
Like he made his prediction a 2-parter, and he got both parts right.
I'm not gonna lie though, I could have made that prediction like in January because that's exactly the trajectory I've been seeing for like.
Hey, Sean, did he remind us when we were sitting at the show when it came up on the screen?
Yeah, he definitely did. Called it. Yeah,
I made sure to remind
very
Sean.
Competitive.
Yeah.
Well, we were keeping track during the show.
Across the country, talked trash while you were there, flew back, got on a call, and kept it going.
Still, yeah.
Appreciate the game.
Well, the main reason I wanted to point that out as well is because we had to keep track of what games we counterpicked against Mr. Badbit that got delayed.
That's right.
Year. So it was
looking good for your boys.
I was good. We only have like an 80-point lead at this point, Sean. It's fine.
Jeez.
But next up, Microsoft Flight Simulator is getting its 40th anniversary edition. It's coming out this November. It's going to have helicopters. It's going to have gliders. It's got a whole bunch of new planes and stuff that's going to be available in it. I didn't read anything about this
Donnie,
afterwards.
shut up.
I'm right there with Donnie. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Get that stuff out of there.
I actually think the helicopters are probably going to be more fun to fly than the planes.
Tuesday.
Is this a new game or a expansion? Because I was not clear about it at all.
It's a free update. You don't even have to do anything. You just get helicopters now, and that is awesome.
Yeah, and then if you sign into Flight Simulator today, you can get the Pelican from Halo and fly that. So, yeah, I mean,
you
it's
can
cool.
get the Pelican and do 3 hours of looking at the same sky as it moves.
I mean, it's something.
Trying to figure out how to fly like a real Delta pilot for free.
Yeah.
Mind you, while that was playing, I got the Need for Speed, and I downloaded Ace Combat. Wow, that game's awesome. Oh, man, that game's great.
Did.
Yeah.
100%. I was watching this. I'm like, this is terrible. I just saw Top Gun. This is, I can't. And then Sean's like, oh, it's probably on sale. It was. And
Totally
I
on
downloaded
sale.
it while we were sitting there.
Yeah. But Flight Simulator is one of those things too, where it's like, it has its very like large niche of people that are really into this type of game and are willing to throw like thousands of dollars at like the correct like flight setup.
My friend has a room. He's an actual pilot, and he has a whole room. Thinks it's the greatest thing ever. I'm like, so you fly, and then you go home and you play a video game of, man, okay.
Yeah, people are obsessed with this game as well. So I like that they're kind of catering to that crowd, because I think that a lot of those people actually ended up buying Flight Simulator, and they would only probably do this level of DLC for it if, you know, people were still really invested in this game. So I'm glad they're getting that. But moving on to a game I am personally really excited about, because this was a game that I was really obsessed with in 2016. I've put 300 to 400 hours into the original Overwatch, but now we're getting Overwatch 2. It was announced like 2 years ago, but we finally have a release date for it. It's coming out on October 4th, and it will be free to play. That was kind of the big announcement here. So it's not actually, you know, in Game Pass, but it doesn't need to be, because it's a free to play game. So I thought the trailer looked great. I mean, I know it kind of just like more Overwatch, but we saw some of the new maps in the trailer, as well as one of the new heroes for Overwatch, and she looks awesome. And yeah, I can't wait to play more Overwatch 2, and maybe, just maybe, I drag Court Lalonde into Overwatch with me, because he says he's never played Overwatch before.
Yes, I did promise Ryan. I committed to saying I will try it. It looked like fun. I was laughing when they made it free to play. I was like, well, this is one way to get it on Game Pass without breaking any rules when you just bought this company and you have to wait for September for fiscal year. But it's actually a smart move. As a friend of mine, Pez, on my other show, Three Dads, he loves this game, and he thought it was going to go free to play and thought this was a great idea. It brings more people into it, and the more people that are playing this game, the more fun it is when you are playing. From what I understand, you need people to play with to play this game.
Yeah, I mean, teamwork goes a long way. But honestly, Court, I had just a ton of fun, even just playing with randoms, like even not even jumping into voice chat, because a lot of times we'd also get just matched up randomly with other teams that weren't on voice chat, and we still had a blast with it. Like even anytime I would just jump in with randoms just on with no voice chat, like I still had a great time with this game too. So I think there's a lot of fun to be had at Overwatch, and
I'm going to play it.
It's a surprisingly fun game. So yeah, and I hope you check it out.
And they've made solo queuing a lot better by making everyone like choose a role, right? Like you can only have like one tank now, and like they
know your role.
Yeah. So before it was like you would queue up, and then everyone was like, we're gonna have 3 tanks, and like and it was just a chaos. But like now they kind of define the meta, so it is a lot better experience if you're just solo queuing. I personally don't care about Overwatch. That's the nothing for me.
Damn! After all that.
Yeah. Battleborn.
Let me tell you everything I know about Overwatch, which is a lot. Also, don't care. Amazing. Look at this guy.
He is Kevin. He knows
Battleborn, Overwatch.
Holy.
It deserved better.
All right, get out of the chat right now. What do you think you're doing?
Here's what I wanted to ask, and I don't know if anybody wants to jump in on this. Like, I was quite confused because I'm seeing all these things show up during this trailer, this reveal. It's coming out in October. It's free to play. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, and this maybe, Ryan, you can correct me on this. Like, I felt there was no reaction in the crowd, and I felt like those were kind of bombs that they dropped. Like, those were big deal announcements. I didn't know.
Huge PC game though.
Sure, no, it's on consoles.
I know, but it's very huge in PC, right?
So like,
it's got a pretty big scene.
Competitive on PC. It's pretty big on console.
It was Game of the Year at Keighley Show 2015 or 14. Yeah, like I think that this game it's exceptionally popular. Not in like the weird League of Legends kind of way. Like the rest of us play this game. I never expected it to be out this soon. So the whole, like, there aren't any games on Xbox this fall and holiday season. Like, there's a lot happening in October and November. This counts as one of those things. The fact that it's free to play was massive in my books, totally underappreciated as an announcement, I think, overall. And then also just as a recognition of the community of Overwatch that was developed with the first game. There's a lot of consideration and thought that's gone into how do you steward that group and bring them all into the second game. Like, I think the free to play has a lot to do with bringing new people in, but also making people who feel like they bought the last game feel okay with moving on over.
Everything carries over from the first game that you bought, because all the same heroes that you
I think the market dictated that a lot more than them trying to steward
things are way different now. Well, but that's just it. Like, look at them.
It's a much tougher sell these days.
Definitely. I mean, they barely got away with it back in 2014.
Yeah.
to charge. Well, it was a full price game back then.
Yeah, and a lot of people happily paid for it.
Yeah,
But there is a campaign coming for Overwatch 2 as well, but the campaign itself has been delayed till next year. And I know a lot of people were really excited about that too, to kind of finally learn, what the story of this universe is in like a playable form.
that's awesome. Okay, so is that going to be paid?
I would assume it's on Game Pass, but it will be paid.
Yeah.
Or at least it's
So
supposed to be
Halo,
paid.
basically the same model as Halo when they
Same
finish
model
that
as
game.
Halo, pretty much. Yeah. So
That's awesome because you're right. Like that universe is mostly explored through like cutscenes and digital comics and all these other things. You have to go out of your way to go figure that out. I think if they tell a story, I'm totally in.
yeah, for sure. All right, next couple of announcements. We're going to kind of zoom through some of these because I don't know how much people are going to have to say about some of these. We're going to start with Aura History Untold. This is actually a new Microsoft first-party game. It's coming to PC Game Pass specifically, and we just got a cinematic trailer for it. It was just a bunch of civilizations coming together. It kind of just sounds like Microsoft's take on Civ.
Yeah, we
sounds
thought it was
really
Civ live
thought
on
it was
air
Civ
before
too.
they
Yeah,
announced
so did
it.
Ryan and I
We
thought it was Civ as well.
Same.
Or Kurt even for a little bit thought it was even Humankind, and we were
Yeah.
like, we just got that game a couple days ago. But
I
no, it's a
thought, why are they
Microsoft
showing
first-party
Humankind
game.
again? It's so weird.
Yeah, I mean, again, the concept's interesting, but without any gameplay or really any details about it, other than the fact that it's coming out next year,
To be
I don't
fair,
think we're
Court,
gonna lock down on it.
they showed a handful of games that they show all the time. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, but you know what? They didn't show Deathloop, so I was very happy. I was
true.
joking to someone. I'm like, watch them show Deathloop.
yeah, I was
and be like,
wondering
"Here's
about
what
that.
it's-"
I wonder if their marketing agreement is still like under wraps and they just can't talk about
Well,
it.
when they did
Maybe.
PlayStation did their marketing show that's like not showing games, Deathloop was still up there as a marketing campaign.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like they probably can't even speak about it at all.
Would you
Yeah,
want
'cause
it
it'll
there?
let
Wouldn't that be
people-
lame? Wouldn't that be lame
Yeah, it
for
would
them
have
to do
been.
that?
No, I was
Would've
making it. It would be hilarious if it was because remember how many times PlayStation showed it? It was like
Yeah, see it
for
one
the
more time.
15th time. Here's
Yeah.
Deathloop.
Just
Yeah,
another
and-
trailer of Deathloop.
Yeah, but this game to me, I'm excited to see what it is. As someone that really likes playing Civilizations, these types of games like Humankind and this now are, I just want to give them a try and see if it's something I'll get into and spend some time.
Yeah, same. I talked about it in person with Court, but like Civilization in particular for me, I poured hundreds of hours in that game, like playing all the time with my brothers on like local play where we'd all kind of gather around my desktop computer and kind of play together. Like I had so many great memories playing that game, and whether it's Civ 4 or Civ 5, and I love that type of game. I want to see more of it on console, and we do have Civ 5 on console, but I'm glad we're getting like both, Humankind on console later this year and then this. But yeah, I'm excited just to see more, later next year, hopefully. Next up, Elder Scrolls Online got a new expansion. We're going to skip past that. Just like Fallout 76, The Pit expansion's coming out. We're skipping past that one. And then Arc 2, which I remember when we saw the trailer for this.
We should skip
Sean-
past that one too. They
Sean
should
was
skip
like,
past that one too.
Arc's real bad. So we're going to skip past
Jesus, why
But-
is that here?
But dinosaurs mean family.
because
Damn.
they got because we learned last year that Microsoft has the marketing rights to
Yeah, we know. We learned last year. They brought nothing like I don't
they
even.
just
I
brought
took
another
nothing.
cinematic trailer, and the fact that the fact that it's got a confirmed 2023 release date is the new information. But
Sure.
next up, we got a new gameplay trailer and release date for Scorn. So this was
Yes.
announced originally at the
Yes.
Xbox Series X gameplay event. It's coming out October 21st, so
Yes.
just in time for Halloween. And
Yes.
it just still looks like a Tool music video. And Donnie,
Yes.
Tell him,
give me
Donnie.
all the hype for this game.
Yes, yes, this game looks great. It's coming this year. I was excited.
this
I didn't
guy.
want it to get lost. I was very hopeful that it wouldn't get delayed, especially with all the other games that got delayed. I'm so excited it's coming. I've been talking about, as you guys have been as well, I'm sure we all have, what a great time to be into horror video games. We are just eating so good for the next 9 months. There are so many games, and I wanted one of them for Halloween. I've been talking about it on PSVG for weeks. I'm like, it's so great that we're getting them at Christmas and New Year's and on my birthday. It's like, what the hell is up with these people? Like, you're missing October, Halloween. And I was very excited about the date. I was like, yes, that's what I'll be playing for Halloween. I'll be playing Scorn. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Between
Love
that,
Did we talk about the beginning of the trailer when we all didn't think it was an umbilical cord coming out and we thought it was all something totally different?
I did
Okay,
not.
as long as it wasn't just me.
I thought it was a
As
cord.
long
I thought it was
as
pretty
just
clear.
wasn't me because I believe everybody in the whole thing, everybody in the auditorium was like, "Oh,
They get quiet.
Oh, it got quiet.
Got
It
real
got
quiet?
awkwardly quiet. It got awkwardly quiet, and I wanted to make a joke, but I just let it go.
So we were on stream, and that's all we do is make jokes about the marketing commercials. And Delvin was like, "Am I allowed to play this in front of my wife?" Like,
Yeah, like who
we
made
okay?
that? Who decided they were like, "Hey, why don't you do a
do I have to lock
downward
the
shot
door and turn the lights
and make
off
it look
before I
like a
play?
phallic symbol being ripped out of the guy's stomach? Why don't we do that? Let's do that. That make
I'm
that
here
the
for
first
it.
shot of the game."
I'm here for it. Let's do it.
No one else
yeah.
on my sorry, I was
Sorry,
saying,
go
no one
ahead.
else on my show liked this. They all were like, it's grossy, fleshy. They don't like it. And I'm sitting there. People in my chat were loving it. I was like, I'm in on this game. My only issue is that like October is jam packed right now with games that I have to play. So like this one's just gonna be sitting there.
Just
I'm
life,
gonna
man.
get to it. I'm gonna get to it.
Every
but,
month
like,
going forward is just jam packed with games. That's just
Yeah.
life.
Well, and again, that 5-month window now is starting to become a murderer's row of horror games.
Yeah.
Between
Just
October
month after
and
month after month.
May. Especially
Sean,
with we got the Resident Evil DLC announced
Yes.
today, which is also in October.
Mhm.
And this, like, oh man,
Remember,
I
Sean,
can't wait.
what's Christmas gonna be? Horror games.
We're quitting
Yeah.
our jobs, guys. Like that's what's happening here. There are so many games we have to quit our jobs.
Dead Space,
This-
Callisto Protocol. Jesus.
this
Murphy.
one-
We got that new Dark Pictures game that's supposed to come out this fall too. So like, too many.
I smelt the atmosphere of this game. Like this is so, I feel like this threw me back 20 years in the best way possible of just like the deepest, darkest, unfiltered, just nastiest kind of atmosphere and environment. Give it to me now. This is unfettered horror, man. Like we kind of get like this, oh, we're like Resident Evil, like that's like zombies and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, this is what is about to happen here. You don't know. And that's what really got me with games like, The Evil Within, where you're just surprised and they just kept going. It made it worse and worse and worse. I am here to be pushed to my limits with this game. It's something I think people have been a little bit unsure of. It's not going to be for everybody. That is for certain. So I think I'm with Donnie. Like, I don't think I could say anything more than I'm hyped about this game. I thought it looked really good. I think most people are overlooking it, and they shouldn't be doing that, my friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's a whole subgenre of horror, right? You get into all of that stuff. You get into like The Thing, and it was
It's
very much like
hardcore.
Aliens and Species. I mean, that's a thing. It's not just about, like you said, zombies and vampires and jump scares. Like, there's a whole other genre here. And the other reason I like this one is this one's going hard for it too.
Yes.
It's not a little bit. It's not a scene. It's like no. You're all in on
whole
this. Or you're
thing.
not.
Donnie, was
Yeah.
it on your guys' stream? Or maybe it was, I don't even remember. I've watched this thing a couple times and watched reaction videos. Somebody said this looks like a Tool music video, like Schism or something. Somebody said
No,
that.
we said
Ryan
we said
just
that.
said that.
See, I've been
Ryan
saying
just
that
said
since
that.
the first
He
saw
said
this
that
game.
at the
just
show.
happened.
At the show.
He said that.
He had to
said
say
that at the show, and then I was like, "Yeah, we could have Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson."
Yes.
There was a whole conversation.
Yeah, man.
Sean, you were
I mean,
there
ever since we
beside
first
us.
saw
I know,
this,
I'm
at,
just-
like the
that's what I said.
Xbox reveal,
There'll be
that-
all
that
kinds
thing.
of squishy.
Remember, I
and
spilled my
gooey
popcorn.
and-
Things happened.
Phil,
It's gonna
we
be
were
great.
there.
Platform moving around, it's got moving hands on it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what
it
is this
does.
game?
Just tentacles and slitheries and it's it's gonna
Yeah,
be great. It's gonna
nasty.
be great.
Well, I'm glad this was a nice bridge to cross
See things
over
ripped
to.
out from
Did
the
you see
crotch.
the? I'm sorry, but have you guys saw the trailer with they have like a horror actor, writer, director guy like VO over the trailer.
No.
It's on their official account. Go watch it. It's awesome.
Oh, I'm down.
You do that.
It's amazing. Go watch it.
Well, now let's build the bridge over to Minecraft Legends, which is coming out next year. It looks kind of like Dragon Quest Builders, but Minecraft.
Ryan, what is this game? I spent about 30 minutes trying to figure out exactly what it is. It leaked early that there was a Minecraft RTS. This kind of looks like a Minecraft RTS. Like, I understand where they're coming from, but they didn't call it an RTS. They're not saying that it's an action strategy game. Like, I don't exactly. I saw people call it. Is it Minecraft Warcraft? Like, what exactly is it?
Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Okay.
the way I was looking at it was kind of like if you ever played Kingdom Under Fire, where you
Exactly what I was gonna say.
commanded troops on the battlefield, and then you could go into the battle as your little Minecraft character.
That's how Dynasty Warriors used to be back in the day.
Yeah,
I miss
I
those
mean,
games.
also Command and Conquer Renegade as well on the
Yes,
PC,
good
the Command
call.
and Conquer
Yeah.
first-person
Or as
shooter.
Sean called it, Minecraft Zelda.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought at first, but this is
It did
definitely
look. It
different.
looked like it.
I'm so glad you guys
feels
are
like
saying
Zelda
Brutal
thing.
Legend. I'm so glad you guys are saying that. These are much better examples of what this actually is.
It is.
I'm gonna keep calling
I
it
will
RTS.
play it and see what happens game and see if I like it, because I ended up Minecraft Dungeons was not on my radar. It was on Game Pass. I played it. I was like,
Super fun.
and I played a lot of it.
I
so
liked Minecraft Dungeons a lot.
yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
this is starting to sound very similarly to a Ryan Turford game, so I think I might be definitely day one on this.
Lots of Ryan Turford-ass games at that show.
There really were. I'm excited to talk about the rest of the show because there's a lot of those there. So Minecraft Legends looks really interesting. 2023 sometime
Game Pass
next year.
Forgot to be
Game
doing
Pass.
that this whole time. Game Pass.
Like I said,
They're
it should
all
have just
Game
been at the
Pass.
very beginning and just said Game Pass at the beginning of the show. If we don't say Game Pass, the game is not on Game Pass.
Game Pass exclusive.
Well, next up,
World premiere.
we got a world premiere trailer of Lightyear Frontier. It's the mech game where you're farming crops.
Yeah, we can move on.
Cool.
I
we're
liked it.
moving on.
That would look cool.
I know, Sean.
Yeah, you like most things.
And this is kind of the middle of the show too, where there's going to be a lot of games we're going to kind of zip
Shots
past a little
fired.
bit. We got Gunfire
like most
Reborn as
things.
well, which is coming out in this October. It's a
What an
four-player
insult.
first-person shooter with
You
animals.
like
I'm not
most
trying to insult
things.
them.
I like the cute animals, but it's a roguelite, so I'm not touching it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with that one.
Yeah.
But this next game, I'm very excited about. I think a lot of people here are too. The Last Case of Benedict Fox. This is a
Yes.
2D action game. It looks kind of like it's going to be a Metroidvania.
It
That's what
is.
I'm hoping for. And it's kind of like, got a lot of elements of like the darkness in it, where you've got like this shadow that gives you all kinds of powers. This game looks awesome. I can't wait
H.P.
to play this.
Lovecraft.
Yeah. So Donnie, give me the hype on this one.
Yeah, it's a Lovecraftian like Metroidvania. Exactly, that's what it looked like. It was very pretty to look at, which is always good, right? Especially when you're talking these commercials. A lot of times, if we don't get any sort of gameplay demonstrations or layouts, you can only go off of the visuals. And I was in the minority on this one on our stream. I think I was the only person that was really in on this one. I think it looks cool, but I like puzzle platformer type stuff, and I like Metroid, especially like Metroid Lights. So I'm definitely in on this. I'm not like overhyped or anything. I just thought it was a good announcement. It's come to Game Pass. I was like, yeah, I want to try that. So I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm with Donnie. It was one of those, hey, it's on Game Pass. It's going to be that game that month, and I'll play it. Like I'm not. There are some games, but when they talked about how like there's going to be a game every month on Game Pass, and I looked at it, I was like, this is one of them. Like, well, I gave a perfect example of Artful Escape. It would never been a game I buy. Never. It ended up being one of my favorite games that I played last year.
It's a
And
hell
it
of a
was-
title, isn't it?
It's just so good, right? And
I was like, guys, can we come up with a better name, maybe?
yeah,
A more
I know.
memorable name. Yeah, it's a hell of a title.
But that's what I'm saying. This could be that game where I play and I'm like, Jesus, I can't believe how much I like it.
The Artful Escape is a really good one because the Artful Escape was originally pitched as the Artful Escape of Vincent Vendetti. That was the original name of the
It's
game.
always something of character name.
And it's like, yeah, can we just call this The Last Case then? Can we do the same thing to this one? Just chop it off. Let's just
I
Or
like
just
that
call it
better.
the guitar.
Either way, looks really cool. Like this, definitely again another very Ryan Turford game. Like I'm stoked for this.
I'm so glad to
spring
hear positivity around on this one. Sorry, Rhino, you just said spring of next year. I'm excited about this one because it's not necessarily a showstopper, but I love that we're getting all this stuff here, that it's variety. It's not the craziest thing you've ever seen, but it's just representative of all the different types of games. And I think that's overall what we saw with this showcase. Was not every single thing was going to be a quote-unquote banger, but I'm excited about this one. I'm glad that there's some recognition of games like this, because that's something I think Xbox fans have been pretty bad at for the most part, is having an appreciation for not just shooter, whatever else, like racing game.
I don't think it's just Xbox fans. It's just gaming
No, but
fans.
I mean, Donnie and I have definitely gone on for years and years about like a game like Ori is our classic example. If it was a PlayStation exclusive or Nintendo exclusive, it'd be game of the year. It wouldn't
People
be
would
even
go
close.
nuts for Ori.
100%. You're
so
right.
it's just a matter of like what we're used to.
And these
so-
are the games that make the thing that I always bring up when we have Game Pass conversations and dialogue is that these are the games that like keep Game Pass going for me.
yes.
Yeah, the first party bangers are great, and those are the temples, and we look forward to them, and they can be delayed and come. But that's not really my prerogative. I know that Game Pass drops 1 to 3 of these games every month, and at $20 a piece, $24.99 a piece, that saves me $20, $40, $60 a month. So I am all about those indie games, and Game Pass does a great job of picking them up, especially day and date. And that's where it really, because if there's an indie game that you really like, you're not going to wait 6 months to play it on Game Pass if you don't know it's coming. But when they drop day one, that is actively saving you money.
Agreed.
Like if you're going to buy Silksong, Game Pass is saving you money. If you're intrigued by a game like this, Game Pass is saving you money. That's just money you put back into your pocket instead of buying that. So these are the things that like, this is the lifeblood of Game Pass for me. That's what I always bring it up. Game Pass saves me so much money. I've stopped buying like 90% of my $20 indie titles that I used to buy on Switch are now all in Game Pass. So keep them coming.
Nice. Well, moving on, we got to see an update on a game we saw last year at Microsoft Showcase, and that is As Dusk Falls. This is a first-party published game. It's the first game from Interior Night, who are made up of a bunch of ex-Quantic Dream developers, and they basically described this game last year as basically going to play just like any other Quantic Dream games, so like Detroit Become Human. So it's a choice-based narrative adventure where you're walking around environments, but it's got this really interesting like hand-drawn art style, but it's made up of these like still images rather than them being animated. We haven't really seen how the exploration is going to work for this game yet, or how you're exploring the environments and what that's actually physically going to look like with this art style. But man, this game looks really unique and interesting. Like
it's the Phil Kessel game. Yeah. Sorry, it was like a joke that I made with somebody else. He looks like Phil Kessel, the main character. He looks like the guy, the hockey player. That's all I got from the game. Otherwise, I'm out. Phil Kessel. It's Jesus. Yeah, I make a thing. It worked well at the FanFest. It was there. It worked.
He was in Canada when he made the joke.
No, he was 100%, and I'm still in Canada when I'm still making it.
Ryan, this is a Ryan
game.
Game. And this is going to be a Donnie Ask Donnie game. I am all for it. I've been very excited about this one since last year. I love its like still motion and animation where everything's kind of clipping back and forth. I like you. I have a lot of questions. I want to see like exactly what you're doing and how you're controlling. But I mean, as Life is Strange fan, as a Telltale fan, as any sort of visual novel fan, I am all about it. Like, I cannot wait. It was shown at Tribeca as well, and people that went hands on with it behind doors and then they've posted like previews or impression pieces. They're very favorable, and they talked a lot about all of their branches and paths. It's never really been my thing. I like kind of playing and having my experience and then cutting it off. But like we enjoy Life is Strange, I very much look forward to hearing what your experiences were like and how they differ from mine.
I'm so glad you brought up Life is Strange, because ever since the Telltale games came out, now Life is Strange, like there's a particular style of game that we get when we think about narrative driven, choice matters, agency, and all that kind of stuff. This looks nothing like any of that stuff. So I'm so glad that it seems to have a lot of weight and heft to all of these moments, which we got one of those things, like there's a hold up in the gas station, the store, or whatever.
Good call.
And what do you do in that moment? And then it does that classic, like, and there's the butterfly effect, and everybody's like, we definitely got a reaction in the room. That's what you sign up for when you play a game like this. I am here for it. Again, variety. Again, Game Pass. I think Game Pass. Did you say Game Pass?
Game Pass.
Yes.
You don't have to wait that long either. July 19th. So it's out next month.
That's awesome.
And I'm excited, Sean, you could bring up a really good point. I'm excited because the narrative looks very challenging.
Yep.
Which is something that we always enjoy. But the thing that I'm excited about is it looks challenging without being so on the nose, without like picking up just a person from a marginalized community and like exploiting that, for good cause. Don't get me wrong, but like,
I'm with you.
It looks like it's going to be a little more human-like, and maybe that'll appeal to more people. But I want to see where it goes. Like,
it's
I definitely
unassuming.
am like, where is that going to go?
Yeah, like I think it's going to surprise people on that front, and that's what that moment did for me, because I thought like, oh, this is going to be a gentle, like a nice cozy drive.
Oh, definitely not.
Sunday drive. It is not. Yeah,
no, it's definitely not that.
It took a turn. Like that's where it clicked into place for me, because I kind of went like, do we really need to see a lot of this game? They had that moment. I was completely turned. So I'm glad we got to hang on that game for a little bit.
If you want to hear more about it and like the story beats and stuff, the Tribeca Games Showcase that was on Friday, they did a deep dive into it, and that's kind of where I like learned about it. And I have yet to hear anyone just be like, this looks okay, I'm gonna check it out. You're either in on this game or you're like, the art style was really off-putting, I'm out on this one.
I'm gonna save that point for another game that was shown, but
kind of where I fall. Like I really don't enjoy the art style. I don't like the jump forward still motion going on. But if it hits, it hits. Like people are giving reviews and like or previews and glowing about it. So there's got to be something I'm missing here besides the art style, right? Like maybe it's a phenomenal game and I'm missing out.
And again, this is the type of game that's perfect for Game Pass too, because if you try it out and if the animation really bugs you that much, that's it. You drop off of it. There you go. Next up, we got Naraka Blade Point. It's a battle royale game that's very popular overseas, but it's the first time coming over here. It's out later this month, and we're moving on. But next up, we got a new game from Obsidian. called Pentiment, and I think maybe this
Here's
is
that
the game
point.
Donnie was talking.
Here's that point coming back around.
I'm with you on this one, I think.
This one's very, very interesting because it has been long rumored and floated around specifically by Jez, and he specifically has attached it to Disco Elysium. And if you've been following the rumor mills and stuff, people keep talking about this Joss Sawyer game. It's like Disco Elysium, and boy, did this game and its art style slap those people in the face. Yep. It is not like Disco Elysium at all. I don't know about this one. The art style isn't doing it for me. It wasn't doing it for anybody. But I do respect the creator and what it's doing, and like Game Pass, I'll try it for sure. I'll download it and play it. But if it's not doing it for me, I'll bounce quickly because the style of the game is not catching me at all.
I'm with you on the art style for Pentiment. I do think just because Josh Sawyer did he wrote Fallout New Vegas, right? He was one of the lead minds. So this could have a phenomenal story if you can look past the art style, which is where I'm struggling, because it was when they opened that book, I was like, this is not what I wanted. This
not
is
enough
not
waifus.
what I was looking for.
Where are the waifus?
Not enough, exactly. Thank you, Sean.
Obviously,
not enough waifus.
It feels like you're in a world where all the playing card art decided to come to life, and you've got the jacks and the kings.
Yes.
Yep. Around. That's what it feels like to me. So I'm still gonna give it a try though, because I actually love the fact that Obsidian's trying all kinds of different stuff, between this and Grounded.
No
and
kidding.
Vowed, they're doing all kinds of weird stuff, and I'm here for that.
It's enough slices.
I mean, even though the art style is not for me from this trailer, who knows? If the story's good enough, I think I could get used to it and look past it if I play it. So,
and he addressed the rumors today himself, where he came out and he said, this isn't Disco Elysium. He's think more like Oxenfree, think more like Night in the Woods. Both games I loved. So that definitely made me at least warm up to giving it a try.
Yeah. So out later this year. Don't have an exact release date for this one yet, but I'm excited for it. But next up, Grounded, speaking of Obsidian, got its final release trailer. It is coming out this July, out of early access with the full story. And it's going to be a complete package now. So, Sean, you and I can finally finish this game, because Sean and I famously played this on a live stream for 4 hours straight, where we played Grounded, had a good time with it, but then kind of got bummed out that you couldn't really go any further because we got to, the end of the story essentially. So, is anyone actually excited that, Grounded's going to be a complete game and that it's coming out?
Me. Evan? I am. I did the same thing. I made a dope base with all my friends. It was a bridge into the water. We had it going into the sea and coming out. It was awesome, but there was nothing to do in the game because the story was go to this one location and then it's over. So I'm excited to jump back into the story.
I did the same thing. I went through that first little bit of story. I got really into Grounded for 2 weeks. And then I left, and I don't. But here's the thing: I don't know if I'm actually yearning to go back. It's been so long. I feel like I'd either have to start over, which might make me just not do it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the point that we played through was only a couple hours. So even if I had to start over, and it's been so long since I played it, it'd been 2 years, that it would almost be just starting a new experience. So,
and I played solo, and I know a lot of people are playing multiplayer. I played solo, and I had multiple bases. I had 5. They were all over the place, and I killed every spider. So I did a lot. But eventually, you can only do it for so long. And that's the thing about it. It was really addictive. Grounded's great. If anybody's never played it, Grounded is really good. It looks great, and there's a very addictive hook there in their loop. So I'd maybe reviews. If the reviews come out and they really start talking about the single player stuff, the story, and it really captures people, then maybe I'll give it another try.
Nice. All right, moving on. We got Urban Shadow Legacy coming out in 2023. Kind of looks like Origami, but with mechs. Looks fine. It exists.
I liked it.
Say about that one.
I liked it.
Why'd you like that, Kevin? Why are you excited about that one?
Because I just played Origami 2 and I thought it was really awesome. So the fact that they're giving us another stealth game so soon, I'm just here for more stealth games. I want to go in the shadows and then murder people. So let's do it.
Another person that's speaking my language. I also love stealth games. So yeah, that gets me excited. But what really got me excited though, with the next game that we saw, and I was one of the first people in the room, I think, to spot this one. That's Diablo 4. We got the reveal of the Necromancer, which is the newest class coming to Diablo 4. In fact, I think we have all the classes now at this point, because we had them revealed at previous, times over on Blizzard's website. But They finally showed us gameplay for the first time of this game.
Yeah.
Running on Series X, this game looks gorgeous. I'm so insanely hyped for Diablo 4. This looks amazing.
How'd you like that blood wave?
Oh, dude. It looks so... I mean, there was a blood wave in Diablo 3 with the Necromancer, and it just looked okay. But man, it looks so much better in this version.
That was the first time I think I saw it. I played Diablo 3, but I never played as the Necromancer.
The summons look crazy.
It was a paid DLC class.
The gameplay looked crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But they also revealed it's an open world game too, so rather than having
strongholds.
So instead of doing the acts that like you did before, you kind of just go and fill out the story however you want to, which I think is just going to really improve the multiplayer experience as well. So you're not having to worry about joining like, Kevin's game but Kevin's on Act 1, even though, and hasn't unlocked Act 3 yet, but I'm in Act 3, so now I got to go back to Act 1 to play with Kevin, and so on and so forth. Like, I like that it's going to mesh a lot better, I think, with players for multiplayer, and I think this is going to be a blast. So it's coming 2023. We finally have a release year for it, because we didn't have a year or date attached to Diablo 3 at this point, and they basically said first half of next year as well, so it will be out before next summer, which very much excites me. I can't wait for this game.
I have a couple questions, but the first thing I want to rope Sean back in here because banger. This is a big megaton banger announcement. Like, what a great get for their showcase, and it should appeal to a lot of people. Big tentpole game. But my question that I have for all of you, although I think I know the answer, is does the Activision deal close before this game releases?
I don't know. Do you think so, Ryan?
When's the game supposed to release?
Does this game launch in the Game Pass or not?
Wait, I think it launches in Game Pass. So, like, we were actually having a conversation about fiscal. So, fiscal actually means September and until July. So they have until September and July. That's literally what a fiscal year is. My company works in the fiscal year. Like, it starts in September. So, like, that's when I get my paycheck. So they've already declared.
True, and I'm with you, but just to clarify, there's lots of different fiscal years.
No, I know, but their fiscal year is the same as ours. Like, I've looked it up. Like, theirs is the same as my company. So theirs starts in September. So they've already got the board of directors that have already voted it in. It's still a long ways away from what I've been reading and so on and so forth, but it could technically close in September. I don't think it will, but say this game is coming out middle of 2023. I don't see how this deal isn't closed and this game isn't day and date on Game Pass. I just don't see it.
The other dilemma that I ask, my follow-up question is let's just say that there are rumors that the deal is closing. Let's say they're like, we expect the deal to close by September, because whenever they get to that point, they'll probably announce it or other people will leak it that we expect the deal to close by a certain date.
Yep.
What if this game comes out, let's call it 2 or 3 months ahead of that date? Are you buying Diablo or are you waiting for Diablo?
Waiting.
Oh, I'm buying.
I'll actually usually end up buying Diablo on multiple platforms anyway, so I'll end up probably.
Yeah, I'm buying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm waiting. Well, you know what? I shouldn't say that because I'm a huge. I bought all the other Diablos and I've been day and date. I've been playing Diablo 2 since PC when I was a young lad, and probably Kevin wasn't even alive. So I'm old.
I think it's an interesting conversation that we probably will revisit a few times.
Well, I didn't buy Deathloop on PlayStation because I knew it was coming to Game Pass a year later, and I said, I'll wait. But Diablo could make me buy it, but it could be if it's coming in a couple months. Like, depends on what's out at that time, right?
I could probably shed some light on that, because Diablo historically, for every Diablo release except for I think the port to Switch specifically, always comes out in June. Whenever there's
then it's Game Pass. Then it's Game Pass.
And I'm thinking June as well, and that's what I was wondering.
So as long as it doesn't get delayed or come out just earlier than usual, according to their usual time span for Diablo games, it will be out next June. You can lock it in right now. That's my prediction. This game is out.
Then I'm locking it in that the deal is done and this is day and date on Game Pass.
Yeah. We got two predictions.
That's why
I don't see why it would take that long to close these deals.
They just recently said that they're like, what? Past
they're very close. Yeah, they said that they're ahead of what they thought, and the board of directors vote that they did. That wasn't even supposed to have happened yet. Like, that's already ahead of schedule. Like that. Like, they're ahead, and it's just like but it is what it is.
Anything can clog regulatory approval.
But anything can clog it. Like, as someone that I just did a contract for work, and it took us a year and a half. Mm-hmm. Like, anything can happen.
Yeah, but that's why I'm confident. I'm pretty sure that the deal will be done by summer of next year, which is why I'm so confident this will be a Game Pass game. But
It's awesome. What a game.
next
It's gonna
up,
be unbelievable that it's day and date on Game Pass. And my question to everybody here at this table, this table, because that was a joke on the weekend. Are you playing it on console or are you playing it on PC?
Console.
console.
I'm
I
gonna
think
play
it's
it on
console
PC.
first, isn't it? Like, I think that's the big surprise announcement.
It'll
here.
be on PC day.
It'll be a
No, it'll be
Was it?
PC day and date.
I thought. Okay, maybe I was mistaken.
Yeah.
I know you. If it isn't, I'll play it on console. But
But
I have this looks like a PC game to me.
But it's cross play, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you play on. So yeah,
I just
cross
like the
play
mouse
and
for
cross
it.
progression with all consoles and PC. So it doesn't matter. We're all going to be playing together and having fun. But next up, we saw more Sea of Thieves. I don't think anyone here plays Sea of Thieves, so we'll move on because we don't have anything to say about that.
I did. I liked it for a bit, but then I had no one to play with. I
Again.
fell off.
Tuesday. So many games could have been put into Tuesday. We have a longer presentation on Tuesday.
I
they
now
said.
understand what you're saying about Tuesday. That
Why
makes
do they
sense.
keep showing these games? Like,
Got
I
it.
understand it. Sea of Thieves is huge. I get it. Fallout 76 is a
It
big
was
deal.
a catchy song.
But it's not the only time you're talking. You're also talking on Tuesday, and you said you're talking longer on Tuesday. So put all of this stuff on Tuesday.
Well, just you know they're gonna do a whole Forza like let's talk for half an hour like we usually do that we didn't do this time.
Yeah, they need time for the dev interviews.
Yeah. Well, then, speaking of, Tuesday, I think this next one could have waited until Tuesday. This is Ravenlock. This is the new
Oh, I
game.
liked Ravenlock.
Oh, I
Yeah,
like
same.
it
I thought that looked
too.
pretty cool. It looked a
Echo
lot like
Generation is
Forspoken.
great.
It looked like Forspoken.
I never played Echo Generation. So,
No,
so tell me.
Oh,
give me
they
your
were,
hype level.
I'm
No,
taking a different game. Echo Generation is awesome, actually.
Yeah, Echo Generation is awesome. They're the folks that make Ravenlock, and I'm excited for Ravenlock.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
game looks awesome. I'm really excited for this one. I love the colorful art style, the cutesy little world. Yep, I'm all in.
It looks like Alice in Wonderland, but with weird like library mechs that you're fighting. and stuff.
Nice. I like it, man.
Have you played Alice Madness Returns?
I haven't played that game since like 2010 or whatever.
It gave me those kind of vibes, and that's a great game. So
I live under
I'm
the
in.
belief that Ryan Turford has played every game.
every game.
thought
It was Echo was a hard game, but a great game.
Yeah, it was very good.
I will actually argue the point that Kevin Ainsworth has played more games than me. I'm pretty sure of it, actually. If we go compare, game lists, I'm sure he's played
And they're a local studio here in Toronto, so
That's true.
that
I
is awesome
actually
as
forgot
well.
about that until you reminded me. So thanks for reminding me, Court.
That's where the
local studio here in Toronto.
they were
Toronto
really
represent-
cool, and they sent me a toque and a tape.
Cool. That's awesome.
Well, that'll be out in 2023. Next up, we got Cocoon. This is the newest game from Jeppe Carlson. I
It
think
is
that's
too
the
warm. I
name.
don't know how Sean's doing this.
He actually used to work. He worked on Inside and Limbo. This is his new game with his brand new studio, and it looks like you're just taking giant spheres and you're moving them from one place to another, and you're using that to traverse through.
Yeah, but
puzzles
they've
and
got
stuff.
portals and they light up stuff. I mean, this looks. I am
It's
all
very
in on
flashy
Cocoon.
looking game.
We were
This looks
talking about you when this game was.
Oh,
was
were
up
you?
there. Oh, definitely.
I was making the jokes on stream. I was like, can we make those studios split again? Like, we're getting Somerville and now we're getting Cocoon. Can we split them into 4 so I can get 2 more of these games? Like, I'm all for it. This is one of my honestly, this is one of my highlights of the entire show is Cocoon. Like, I'm through the moon for this
You're
one.
like a child of divorce who's just like, I get Christmas at Dad's house, I get Christmas
Yes.
at Mom's house.
Yes.
Keep splitting up.
Presents.
This is amazing for me.
Keep doing it.
Keep fighting
doing
for
it.
my love.
More divorces.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It looks special, man. It looked very special. And I actually, like, right from the start, they were saying, this is developers, these games. And I was like, I'm expecting a certain thing. And this is not that. This is not another Limbo, another Inside. Like, this is totally
Yes.
different. And yeah, like, nice puzzles.
Totally different. I
Right.
don't mean to interrupt you, but the thing about this game that really struck me, and I don't know, based on how everybody else looked, maybe I'm the only one that thinks this appears to me one of the most fresh looking games I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
like I was
man.
like, this game, not only is it just different from those games, this is different. This is a different kind of video game, and I am excited to play it. Like
Game Pass.
Like when Journey came out, we were just like, "What? Huh?" Like,
Yes.
it's just a game that was just totally out of nowhere, and you're like, "Why do I love this game so much?"
as they started zooming out and you're seeing like different things in on itself, there's like this monster of this universe and there's like portals. I was like, what is happening? I want to figure it all out. I'm very excited. Very excited.
In fact, I would say probably because we know kind of Somerville's kind of the other game made by former,
Yeah, and that's
Playdead
more like what
developers.
we would expect.
Like that, I'm actually way more excited for Cocoon because it is a different experience, because it is trying something totally different with it. Versus, Somerville seems much more in that limbo type of alley.
Yeah.
Or inside. So yeah, I'm with you guys.
Jesus,
So
Sean.
2023, it's out next year. But now we're kind of getting to the meat of potatoes because we got 4 things left to talk about from this showcase. Starting off with something that got me personally.
Did you say
really
the meat
excited.
of the potatoes?
Meat and potatoes?
We're getting to the meat of the potatoes.
The meat of the potatoes.
I like how you think, Ryan. I'm down for meat in my potatoes. Let's do it.
Let's talk about Wulong Fallen Dynasty, yo. This is totally a Ryan Surfer
Did
game.
he just say yo?
Yo.
I'm trying to sound hip, okay? So this is a
And
new
it sounded
game.
like you were trying to sound hip too.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm an old man, okay?
You know
So-
what he is? He's Skinner.
What's up, cool kids?
Is it
Fellow
me
youths?
or are they out of touch?
It's always me, Court. I'm
Yo.
always the one out of touch. But okay,
What's
so
up, cool
Wulong
cats?
Fallen Dynasty, newest game from Team Ninja. It sounds like a lot of the people who are making Neo are working on this game, and it takes place during the Chinese Three Kingdoms period. It's actually going to be an Xbox console exclusive, which is kind of crazy because this team has only usually done PlayStation exclusive with the Neo games. We also have one of the lead developers from Bloodborne who's working on this too. Like, it sounds like a great cast of characters are putting this one together. It's coming out early 2023, day one on Game Pass and
Game
a
Pass.
console exclusive. I am stoked for this game. I loved Neo and kind of its takes on the Souls-like formula, where how it was a much faster game than Dark Souls, but not as fast as Ninja Gaiden, but also just as brutally difficult with some great like enemy designs and great environments that you got to explore and just really fun combat. So that's kind of what I'm expecting from this one, but we haven't seen the gameplay. This was just a cinematic trailer, but I'm stoked for this one. I love Team Ninja, so I can't wait to see this game early next year, because I can't wait to play this. I don't know if anyone.
I am happy for you, Ryan.
Excellent.
Yeah, me too. Way to go.
Cool.
Go Team Ryan.
This did turn the conversation though a little bit, Ryan. This sort of like spun the globe around. They're like, "Where are we going to next?" And they're like, "Japan." So it's a little
really
different.
Oh, this is when Ryan's hype level. Because I was sitting beside his hype level started getting bigger and bigger, and then that's when I was doing stuff for us, and I looked at my phone and I was like, I had to like hide my phone from Ryan. I'm like, oh my god, he's about to go crazy.
Because Court, the next announcement we got was Phil Spencer in front of a monitor talking about, you know, how he wants to bring more Japanese studios on board on Xbox, and he had a little game to show us one of the most requested franchises, he said, from Japan.
Good timing,
And
Sean.
that is Persona. So Persona 3
Yes.
Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal are all coming to Xbox, starting with Persona 5 Royal on October 21st. All of them are going to be Game Pass day and date when they come out, and they will be on Xbox. We learned after the show as well, they're also coming to PC and PlayStation, so if you do have those consoles and not Xbox, don't worry, you're
And
not out of luck. But
I
somehow...
think they'll be coming to another console as well.
No, they are coming. They announced today they are coming to PlayStation.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just
No,
haven't
I
announced-
meant
Oh, you
another
mean
console.
Switch?
I think they're coming to
Oh,
another console.
They didn't
as
say
well, yeah.
Switch.
They
Yeah, you
haven't
know
said
why?
Switch.
Because Nintendo's gonna say like
That'd be so
I
weird,
think they'll
though.
be coming to Switch as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank God they're bringing it at the same time when the game's already coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, so I felt bad for Sean and Court in this moment that this got
Why?
delayed,
I didn't know.
because
I was the most animated
there
I've
wa-
ever
there is
seen
video
Ryan in my
evidence.
life.
Hey, describe it to me.
So as
me?
soon
You
as
want
I
me to
saw,
Tell me the tale. Tell me the tale of
as
Ryan
soon as
hearing
I
this
saw
news.
the Atlas logo pop up with the colors blue, yellow, and red,
Mm-hmm.
kind of streaming through the characters, it was over. I knew what it was. I could not believe it. I screamed from the top of my
He
lungs
did. It was
in the arena
hilarious.
to the
What was
point
the
where again,
pitch? Was it
there
high
was
pitch?
Okay,
low
you know
pitch?
the
Guttural.
president, the guy who was running for president.
Guttural.
His name was Dean or last name Dean or whatever, and he's like, that was Ryan. It was like the same
Whoa.
sort of like it was like
Wow.
it was a loud like it
You
was
cut out?
loud.
But I
Yeah,
know
you-
exactly what you meant.
Yeah, there was actually someone took a reaction video at the event for Persona and put it up on YouTube. And you can, if you listen to it, it's literally just you hear me from the back of the room because this guy
I need
was
a
at the
link,
front,
guys.
just me going, yeah, like I was.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
I think an actual persona like showed up
So
behind
excited.
you. Like you're like
Did he leave his
transformed? His
I-
soul
I
did.
I could not believe my eyes.
Did
when I saw
people
this.
around you look worried? Were they like, what the?
No,
like,
I was
turn?
laughing. I thought it was the
Okay.
most hilarious thing I've ever witnessed because I
That's
was.
we
amazing.
also-
Ryan showed
so
the most.
happy
He was the
for you,
most
Ryan.
animated I've ever seen him, and I was so happy for him. And as the content creator here as the social media person, my next thought was, why didn't I tape this? Because
Yeah,
I knew it was
you
going
knew
to
it was
happen.
coming.
Because I saw it on my phone. Because I was sending
Missed
out tweets
opportunity.
for our stuff, and I saw that, and it was more I wanted to be caught in the moment to see Ryan's
Of course.
excitement, because like Ryan and I were talking and we knew some of the stuff that was about to be announced, but I found out this while we were sitting there, and I was like, because I just saw it trending on Twitter. I saw Atlas trending, and I'm like, oh my god, they're about to announce Persona. I'm like, oh my god, I was
I live
literally
for the hype. I would have loved to have seen it.
it was unbelievable. He was so animated and so happy, and I was just happy for him.
But
Yeah,
Ryan,
I
did
get
you
so
know?
excited to see people excited.
Did you know, Ryan, that it was going to be all three? Like the way that this, like, it's a huge.
I
There's a lot
could
to unpack
tell-
here, aside from Ryan's hype.
Did you guys hide off Twitter? Did you get away from the snitch?
I didn't
did.
see
Oh, yeah.
any of it. I didn't see until
I
the
did.
Also
moment
didn't see any
before
of
it
it
showed
ahead
up.
of time either.
The
Because that
moment
broke
before-
early.
Yeah, so the moment before it showed up, and one of the reasons I wanted to get the heck away from Court and this whole thing is he knew all the things. I was polar opposite.
Didn't know all of them. I
You
knew like
this.
3 things.
You knew enough. And so the whole thing that I kept saying is like, I can't sit next to him because he's going to be that person going like, now this is going to happen. Now, and he's like,
But
I'm
I
not
never
gonna
did
do
that.
You did
I
it
never
for
did
this
that.
one. And I dropped an F-bomb.
No.
I'm like, shut
Ryan
the
would
F
have
up.
Ryan
It
or
absolutely had
Sean
me,
would
like,
have put you in a headlock.
Well,
I'm like,
I was
just let
sitting
me
right beside
watch.
Ryan.
Just
Yeah,
let
well,
me
actually,
let him
Sean
watch.
literally
Awesome.
turned to me and was like, "Just let me watch." Well, I'm like,
That broke. Yeah, that broke
But
like
again,
super early in the morning. The snitch hit that one, and it was like almost everywhere.
But yeah, I hadn't seen it at all.
Me
I
either.
didn't know it was coming.
That's
but
awesome.
again, like I yelled as soon as it started, which bugged Sean because the second I saw the Atlas logo with those 3 colors, I knew it was all 3 games, and
Nice.
I knew what was coming. Like as a Persona fan, as someone who's been playing these games pretty religiously now for the last couple of years, like I knew from that moment that this was what the announcement was. And
Do you have it in
I've
you
been-
to run them all again?
I'm
Yes.
doing it.
110%.
That
I
is
will.
so much
in
video
fact,
game.
Donnie, I am pretty sure I'm going to get all 3,000 achievement points.
Wow,
That's my goal too, Ryan.
commendable.
I know for a fact I can get Persona 5 Royal because it's easy. I got the platinum in 87 hours. It's not even a big deal. Like I
We
can
are
do
in the
that, no problem.
company of gods.
So
We are
I've
not
already-
worthy.
I've already played 4, so I'll just use a guide. Like there's no
He's like,
spoilers.
easy.
Yeah.
90
Well, and I would
hours.
imagine the
Piece
trophy.
of cake.
I would imagine the achievements for Persona 4 are going to be the same as the Vita ones.
Yeah,
or very similar.
for sure,
It'll,
but, like-
it'll be Persona 3 that'll be the curveball because
Yep.
that game's never had trophies.
Yep,
So
that's the
we
one
don't
I
know
don't.
what
I don't know what to like. I googled the trophy list to see, and there was no trophy list, and I was like, okay, I don't know what 3 is gonna look like. But I got clipped too, Ryan. It's on my Twitter account, me freaking out, and everyone's like, "Is it 5?" I was like, and they're like, "No, it's 4." And I was like, "Guys, this is 3. What are you talking? Like, this is not 4." And then they did 4, and then 5, and I
That's
was like,
what I'm getting at, man. Like this it's like Persona for the first time. These games, they're rolling it out all three on Game Pass. They're giving you 5 first. I think they're doing it right. You guys are all skipping over the thing that we all want to talk about, which is let's get to the hot springs. Let's meet up with our waifus. Like these guys are all like the mechanics of this JRPG. Blah blah. Like let's just pick our favorite lady in these games.
Tamaki,
Okay.
for sure.
Music is also very good, but like really, we're just
Games are
skipping
not
over.
for me. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm with you, Court. I've got
It can
Persona
be
stuff
for
here on
you.
my shelf. I'm such a poser. I've watched the animes. I've got the manga. I like Persona, but I don't do the games because for all the reasons that Ryan already knows. Not into RPGs really.
Yeah.
There's just too much commitment. They're too slow. The turn-based thing is I don't like any of them. Like Dragon
Donnie,
Quest.
the
I
waifus.
don't like
Just give it a
Final
shot.
Fantasy. I've played them. No, I played 30 hours of Persona 5. That's about as much as I could do.
Yeah.
Like after
That's
like 30
amazing.
hours, I was
Fact,
like, I've
believe it or
got
not,
to move on.
Concludes the tutorial.
You were
Yeah,
almost halfway there.
I know.
In fact,
That's
believe it or
brutal.
not, between the 3 games, I would say for someone who's interested in, who's listening to this, and who's interested in getting to these games and wants to know the shortest game, it's actually Persona 3. Like that's the one that you can get in, play it for 40 hours, and you're done.
I
Like,
actually
of
thought the
these
one
games,
for
right?
me was Strikers. I was so excited for Strikers. Then I got Strikers and I
Strikers
realized
too.
it's also a Persona game and it takes forever to beat. And I was like, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game was like 40 hours too, and I was surprised by that. It kept going and
It
going.
just kept going. It was like, I can't do this guy.
Golden, I think, is longer than Royal for me. Like, it took me longer to get through Persona 4 Golden than it did Persona 5 Royal. I don't know if that's just
You know
me,
better than me.
but-
That's opposite of what I heard, but I'm not here to argue that point. What I want to talk about really quickly maybe is I saw, maybe because of this one, maybe there's a couple other announcements, but I think primarily because of what happened with Persona, so many people say, I guess I'm getting an Xbox now. After the show, a lot of people tagging me, a lot of people just saying on their own, I guess it's time. Like,
I did not see a lot of that.
This is a huge moment for that. Like,
PlayStation people lost their minds.
Big time.
I saw a lot of people mad.
I saw a lot
I
of people.
didn't see a whole lot of people.
there's
Atlas
the other
betrayed us.
There's other change.org stuff that's happening.
I had my co-host on Three Dads, Waba. He has never had an Xbox. He got Game Pass. He has always said, if the Persona games come here, he's like, I'm in. And then they came to Game Pass, and I messaged him, and he's like, I'm in.
Which is so remarkable because they exist somewhere else. But like, don't let me stop anybody. Like that is amazing. But we've seen Xbox and like Phil and the whole team try this many, many times before. Like, let's try to make a statement about Japan. Let's try to have these games. And we've seen some really good moves. Tales of Arise is a good example. Scarlet Nexus is a good example.
It was so nice not to see them like trot Shinji Mikami out there again.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and this is
something else.
This one mattered. This wasn't them like speaking to it, but not quite landing it. It's like they had two, and we'll get to the next one right away here. Like announcements that really had some heft to it. It wasn't trying to get to the point. It was the point. So I was happy to see that. They finally nailed it, and I can't wait to see what happens. But yeah, I definitely felt a bit of a momentum shift, which is why Xbox has a showcase at not E3. And I'm stoked that they made a statement like this. I think it's important. I think that, just to throw a little shot across the bow, PlayStation chose not to participate. They are doing the bare minimum with their state of play and whatever the hell we're supposed to get a little bit later on and jumping on with Jeff Keighley. This was why I came away from the showcase thinking this was such a big deal. Like, they came to play
Sean,
the game.
To counter your point, I bought a PlayStation this week.
You bought a used one. That does nobody any good.
$300, I heard. Impressive.
It is amazing.
For a PS5?
Yep.
Good.
But that was all because of The Last of Us, though. That's one game on its own. But in the same
But
regard
again,
to
I guess it doesn't really matter. But
I do have a follow-up point for
taken.
Sean. He's over here, this kind of signals an intent, right, for Xbox, like a massive one. So do we think Persona 6
That's
is going
the
to
big
be
question.
a date on Xbox?
I still think PlayStation will try very hard to write a check, because that's how they are. They are very committed to making sure that the brands that are synonymous with PlayStation stay synonymous with PlayStation. We've seen it in Final Fantasy, so I expect that they'll continue to do so. But that is the question, because it's great that these games are coming. I don't mean to demean. This is a huge announcement. Everything Sean said is right, but the fans of these games have already played them, right?
apparently they're going to play them again.
Well, I
probably
would bring the point. Are we going to see a different PlayStation now? Because, like, to Kevin's point, yes, Xbox did probably the most, hey, here's something for everyone, and here's the future of Xbox, and we're not just going down this one path of these 3 games that we always trot out there. We're going to expand into PC. We're going to expand into Japan. They were selling Xbox S's out there, but Sony, for the first time ever, is going down a new path. PlayStation Plus launched today. They're putting games out on PC. Spider-Man, their character they own, will be on Xbox. Like, not the Spider-Man game, but Midnight Sun, Spider-Man's in it. Before, they wouldn't even allow it on Avengers. So, is Sony going down a different path? Are they going to have to invest in other games that they're going to have to come out on their platform?
Right?
No, I get that, but that was a check they wrote already.
And I think you have to look at the relationships. PlayStation has a much deeper relationship with Square Enix. I think if anyone has a better relationship with Sega, who owns Atlas, right? It's Xbox. Xbox has a better relationship with Sega this generation.
That's true. I bring that up all the time, but they've worked really closely with Sega for 20 years. That's not new, though. It's not a new relationship. They've been really close with Sega for the last 3 console generations.
Yeah, but how many times did they say no and they regret it? That could have happened, right? We've heard stories about games.
I'm just pointing that they've been really close with Sega, and they didn't get Persona until now.
I don't think they've been
that's
this
more
close,
of an Atlas
though, right?
thing and less of a Sega thing, because I think Atlas does make some decisions as to where it's.
I get that feeling too.
And there what we've heard about it from people from Atlas before, about how they're worried about their games coming to other consoles, thinking that, for some reason, if they put their games on somewhere other than PlayStation, that they're not going to sell at all. But with a deal like this with Game Pass and Microsoft writing the check, it almost doesn't matter if those games were going to sell, because they're getting all the money. Probably, like, Microsoft probably paid them the entire amount that people would have probably bought those games on Xbox anyways.
Probably.
So at that point, then it's kind of like a no-lose situation.
I've thought that these games are
are
coming to Xbox and PC and Switch. The reason I said that I still think they're coming to Switch is ever since they brought was it Persona 3 to PC, and then they sent out that like questionnaire where they were like, "Hey, when do you want more Persona games?" And they had that questionnaire. I thought since that survey went out and since they did that, I was like, yeah, they're getting ready to go multi-platform.
They just did another survey too. I filled it out again for like the third year in a row. And you were speaking, Ryan, it doesn't matter if these games don't sell because they got the Game Pass money. What game does matter if it sells? Soul Hackers 2. If you want more Atlas games on Xbox, support that game when it comes out in August.
Yeah, I hope this is a shift, as you guys said, and I hope it is more multi-platform because players should have the option to choose where they want to play. In my opinion, these are beloved. This is a beloved franchise.
Yeah, I think this is a big statement from Atlas that they're ready to put their games on other platforms. Like I again, I made it in my predictions as well that I think a game like 13 Sentinels comes to Xbox at some point. I think a game like Catherine Full Body is on the table now, coming back to Xbox.
Oh, now that's my game.
After being missing from Xbox for years. I think everything's on the table for Atlas now. I think that's what this announcement proved to me. But we got to move on from this topic because we got two more things we got to talk about. Because the other Japanese announcement we got that the entire room at FanFest went nuts for. Like, people went crazy for this announcement. Hideo Kojima and Xbox partnering together, working on a new game. Basically, we don't know anything about the game at this point other than the fact that it's going to, take advantage of the Azure technology. Of course, there's been some other leaks about it that we're not going to talk about here. We don't want to spoil people for that. But I think it's just exciting to see Kojima on an Xbox stage just in general.
That's the news. Referring to what Sean said earlier about Persona, that's the news where I saw a lot of that coming from. The Kojima just being around Xbox, people are like, maybe I need to look towards the Xbox. Like, Kojima he shifts the landscape. I have never been what I would consider like a ginormous Kojima fan. I love his form of crazy. Yeah, I really love PT, and I always wanted a Kojima horror game. So I'm very eager to see what this project ends up becoming. But that aside, he's a legend in video games, and people, like the masses, love Hideo Kojima, and they will go wherever his games are. That has been proven. And this is the one. This is a megaton. Like, this is a bombshell. We were all talking about it live on stream, and I thought it was funny because I was on the stream with several of our PSXP crew, and they're like, I can't believe they just brought him out just to say he's doing a game. I was like, PlayStation did the exact same thing. Like, they sat him down with Andrew Alice, and they're like, we're making a game with Kojima. Like, that alone is news. That's how big Kojima is. So
I thought it was crazy. I thought it was crazy and embarrassing that they had to put out a statement this morning saying we're still have a relationship with play. It was as what is happening gaming in the last couple years, and it almost like got worse during the pandemic because
we launched a
at
console.
Home.
It always happens.
Yeah,
we launch a
and all of a sudden, like,
happens.
they had to put out a statement today saying, "Don't worry, like, we're still friends with PlayStation, pretty much."
Yeah,
like, it was like, what was that? I felt it, and then you saw there was people they were smashing their consoles. There's videos of that.
That's what it was, because people are big mad. Some people are big mad.
You had in one. And it was kind of funny because a lot of PlayStation podcasts or PlayStation centric people were putting out tweets today saying that the Xbox conference was average, and I'm like, they announced Persona and Kojima, and it was average.
Yeah, if you step away from the details or things, like if you just look at it on the highlights, it's like they announced a slew of Bethesda games, these amazing Forza games. Oh, and they had Persona and Kojima. It's a pretty big deal.
It's huge. Like, it shows a different shift in direction of what Xbox is doing. Like I said, they're not just throwing out their race car game, their shooter, and Halo. They're like, hey, we're here and we're giving you games, and we're giving you games for every type of gamer. If you're any type of gamer, your game is here on Xbox. Yeah. And that's never happened before with Xbox.
Yeah, and they did confirm after the event, because they didn't say this in the moment, but they did confirm that Microsoft's publishing this game, and it is Xbox exclusive. So it's not coming to anything else. It is strictly with Microsoft. And I know, again, it started a whole bunch of change.org petitions, but yeah, you guys are absolutely right. This is a huge statement, a huge move. I mean, again, the surprise pretty much got ruined a little bit because we've been hearing about this for months from Jeff.
But Okay, you're right, but I always argue that. I think I always argue this every year with Sean. To me, the surprise isn't not knowing. The surprise is seeing. Like, you can tell me Hideo Kojima is going to be there. He's going to have an announcement or something. But actually seeing and being there, and especially you guys were in the room.
Oh yeah.
You can't tell me that the rumors of Kojima lessened that excitement when he was actually felt on screen.
Like, the people screaming. You felt
seeing
the
is believing. That's so much bigger than so and so said it's going to happen.
If there was anything that took away from it for me on that front, is just that it was exactly the way that PlayStation had done it. You know, if there was another way for them to do it, you know, is maybe like, here's a quick look at this cool game that we're making.
That's Kojima, though.
I know,
right?
and it's just, but like to Donnie's point,
he controls his narrative.
Totally.
Yes.
And so now we're in for a generation of Xbox Series X and S and whatever's coming next. Of here's a little glimpse of what Hideo Kojima is doing on Xbox. And dude, I don't blame Xbox on this, because that playbook worked for PS4 among many, many other things, but that definitely worked. They should have been more tired hearing about Death Stranding than we really were, but we ate it up every little bit that we got. Like, what is this? What's with that baby? What are the dead whales on the beach? Like, that whole unrolling of what that game ended up being panned out for. Then when we played it, we were hyped about it. We had no idea what kind of game it was.
I downloaded it for the first time ever today. I've never played it. I will be playing it later.
I've never played it either. I'm not a big Kojima guy, but what I do think that this announcement indicates is, like, first of all, their intent, but it shows other Japanese developers, like, well, if Kojima's doing it, he's an icon, a legend in Japan, like, maybe we'll go work with Xbox.
That's
maybe,
why, yeah.
And hey, this deal was done obviously months ago, because we've been hearing about this for half a year.
Phil had the
that
statue
could be
behind
one
him.
of the strong reasons why Atlas, who does write their own ticket, was like, okay, maybe we do go on Xbox, and that started the whole conversation.
See, I hear you guys say the word intent a couple of times, and I'm like, that's not intent. This is doing. It's very different. There's an intention, like maybe it'll happen in the future. Like, they're acting, and that's a huge deal. But I will agree with you that this paves the way. Like, this is the type of thing that makes other Japanese developers take notice. So a big, big move.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of big moves, last thing of the show, big game, one of the most anticipated games for Xbox.
Big is an understatement.
Starfield. We saw gameplay of Starfield, a big blowout with it, essentially, with Todd Howard basically talking us through all kinds of stuff, from the character creation to the exploration to you building your own ship to ship combat to, you know, building bases on the ground to how big this gosh darn solar system is that you're going to be exploring. I know Sean Capri was very excited when we got to see this, especially because he's the person I know who's the most excited about space.
That
I've met in real life.
The Final Frontier?
It's the Final Frontier.
So,
these are the voyages?
Yes. Dude, I am mixed on this. I'll say that to start out, because I'm eating all the hype on all of this stuff. But I don't even want to get to the bad stuff first. I want to get to the exciting stuff first. Finally, we saw a gameplay. We've been hearing about this game. We've been moaning and complaining for years and years that we don't know what it is. We're getting hyped for no reason. Finally, it's here. The first thing that they show us looks like No Man's Sky. And I just don't, there's no way around it. I'm sorry, there's no way around it. I think there's mixed commentary on what IGN and others are covering on this thing. I'd love to be able to say anything else at the start, but it looked like No Man's Sky at the start. Like, they didn't even show a conversation that happened or some of the action or the flying or the 1,000 stars or whatever. The first thing they chose to show was you got your little scanner and you went to some minerals on the wall and you zapped it into pieces. And so they had an uphill battle for me after that moment. It looks pretty good in some shots. It looks like Fallout 4 in other shots. So I was like, I was really excited about space. This is not what I wanted. And then they said you can build your own spaceship and fly it out to 1,000 stars. And I was kind of,
and that's what Sean wanted. Yeah. Sean was like, I'm going to build this. I'm going to build that.
I'm building an X-Wing. I thought the shooting actually looked decent. I still have to play it, obviously, like any of us do. When we say decent, it's like, well, at least you don't have to pause for VATS.
It looked better than Mass Effect Andromeda.
There's lots to. I think that this one, it really depends on the story and this experience that we all play. This has to be played. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm looking at the trailers we're talking about it now. The first shot is us walking out of the thing. Yeah, we're landing and the smoke looks bad, and we walk out and the robot's walking. The robot animation doesn't look all that great. So, not the best first impression, to be honest.
Donnie, don't do it. I told you in the chat, don't do it.
I'm so sorry. I had I have a specific thought that I was thinking about Sean when it happened, and I've been waiting for this moment to ask him this just right now. Last year, Sean and I had a long discussion about the placement of Starfield and Redfall in the showcase. And then here we are this year where they've been reversed. And now I feel like, Sean, they should have changed it. If they could have changed it, they should change it last year, change it this year. Start with Starfield and end on Redfall. Sean, I'm not very impressed. Look, I always hate feeling like I'm taking away from anybody's excitement or joy. And I really don't like it. It puts me in a bad feeling like when I talk about the game. So just let me be upfront and say that the game's a long ways away. It'll get better. I still have hope for it. I'm not judging it. I'm only being critical of what they showed. But what they showed did not impress me. And I have what I believe causes for concern. Two things that concern me is today, what they showed when I was watching it, and I've watched the 4K trailer 3 times over. It looks like they showed an early game, an alpha of a game. And I was like, that's cool. If we had no idea when this game was coming out, it wouldn't bother me at all. But 3 weeks ago, they thought this game was coming out in 5 months. And it's this game doesn't look anywhere close for prime time as a AAA, your first party investment, your big game. This game has been worked on at Bethesda's flagship studio for a long time. Years this game has been in the oven. And I still think it's got some time. Now, Sean knows this, but your listeners and everybody else in the cast may not. I'm not super into space. I don't like No Man's Sky. I don't like Mass Effect. I don't like Star Wars. But I like Metroid, and I like Star Fox, I like Everspace. So it's just kind of a hit or miss thing. So maybe maybe I have no idea if that's clouding my look on this. I wasn't very excited for this game from the get-go, but I wanted to be hooked. Now, here's one thing that I do love though. I love Skyrim. And the whole idea of here comes the Skyrim devs, they're making a space game. I didn't see, and I hate to put this on them because it just may not be true, but where's the Skyrim part? Where's the hook? Get me hooked. Where are the guilds and this long, gigantic, ever-expanding narrative that I can get lost in forever?
1,000 planets.
Don't send me to 1,000 planets if there's nothing on those 1,000 planets to go do. I don't want to just go colonize and build.
Is that what you took away from it? That there was nothing to be done on the 1,000 planets? Because I don't think that's the case.
I only saw
you can't convey that.
I only saw their hub with people. When they were actually at the planets, it looked kind of barren. You're out there with a robot.
When they go into the buildings, we're watching it right now. It looks unbelievable.
But are those buildings?
When they're on the planets, they look terrible. When they go inside
those
somewhere,
buildings on every one of those 1,000 planets, or is that because I got the impression that building was that was a hub, and then you go out to explore? Because I have to think if it's 1,000 planets in all these universes, that it's somewhat procedural.
That's what I'm wondering.
Some of the planets, I think, are just going to be resource dumps, and that you can put little we saw the build. Yeah, it's like Mass Effect because we saw a screenshot where it was 9 out of 9 resources collected, and then you could build your little settlement thing right there, which I'm hopefully.
And they were showing when they were going around, you could do different things on different planets, and some of the planets had a mission on it. You could see the mission there.
But you Donnie, you mentioned you wanted to see the guilds. Well, they did show us the 3 factions that you could join,
which we saw before. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I am on the complete other end of the spectrum compared to you. I thought this looked great. This is exactly what I wanted from Starfield showing. My only issue was had some frame rate issues.
So did you think it looked great? Visually, it looked great? Okay.
Visually had some...
Conceptually,
okay. This is what I wanted from Starfield. I think the character creator and choosing your traits and all your backstory, I think all that really looks great. I think the the dialogue that they showed when you were talking to people, I think they really improved their facial animations compared to previous. Yeah, still a few it depends on what screenshot you're looking at, right? So some still have the dead eyes where they're but I want to see dialogue options because they said this is supposed to be adapted from Morrowind, right? The dialogue tree. So I have little concerns there. The planets, you don't have to go to all 1,000 planets. No one's making you. So that doesn't really concern me. For me, what I think is my big takeaway is they're giving me the concepts and the ability of what I want. The ability to build a ship, go into space, have space combat, everything that I wanted from the game is there. Just fix the frame rate issue, fix the resolution issues, make it run a little better, please. Like, this is gonna be your all-star game, and we need it to look good.
Do you know how they do that? 11, 11, 23.
I saw you in the chat
Full
there.
year delay. I actually have almost zero doubt.
Don't Halo this game. Don't Halo Infinite this game. Actually let it cook and make it the best it can be.
Yeah.
It's for me, and what that would allow us from.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it got delayed into 24.
I think the fact that it didn't get I think because of what happened to Halo Infinite in its launch is the reason this game isn't coming out 11/11.
It's got to hit. It's got to hit, no doubt. For me, like something that is not conveyed in this at all. Like this is a Todd Howard. That's his name, right? I'm looking right now.
You are
who's
correct,
the other Ron Howard? Is he the
Hines?
director? Anyway, no, I'm thinking movies. Anyways, this was
got
his. Let me tell you about the things you liked about Skyrim, the things you liked about Fallout. Like this, they're here as well. The character creator, all this stuff, the building. Some people like the building. What I actually want, and maybe I'm setting myself up for disappointment on this, is like I want a heavy hidden story with the stakes of the galaxy on the line here. And when I say that out loud, that's a BioWare game. Actually, that's Mass Effect.
Yeah,
that's Mass Effect.
So I'm curious to see, like, I might be a little not in line with what this game is meant to deliver. I am totally taken aback by the vastness on the galaxy itself, on the options, on the even how you create your character and the backgrounds and all that stuff. That's impressive to me. But
you can make your character introvert. That's crazy.
And the benefits that come around with that, which there are. I'm here to tell you there are benefits of being an introvert.
That's true.
So that all stuff is quite interesting. But yeah, I kind of want to know, like, what does it feel like? What are the choices that I can make? Like, how vested into this galaxy am I actually going to be?
I wanted like some premise for motivation, just a little bit.
Exactly. Yep.
And I remain open to them showing me. They didn't have to answer every question today. Like, I'm not ruling this out. I want to be clear. I'm not like writing anything off or making any like, like definite.
We only have what we saw to go off of.
Yeah.
The enemies don't look that good, though.
They showed a lot of stuff, and I was like, but why am I? What am I doing? Why am I going out there? Like, what's my driving force here?
Right.
Why am I building a sediment? They showed really cool things, and they showed like they showed our moon, and they showed the Mars rover and stuff like that. So it was like, okay, are those just Easter eggs? Like on certain planets, you find an Easter egg. There's probably gonna be like Star Trek Easter egg in here or something, because he's Todd Howard's talked about how much he loved Star Trek growing up. So I'm expecting that's what's on some of these planets. There's gonna be little Easter eggs where you can land. But I'm looking at this trailer again, and I watched it live, and I thought I was so hyped for it. But now watching it again, I'm like, Jesus, those monsters look
smoke.
terrible.
Like when the spaceship
well, no,
lands,
the smoke and
is
that
bad.
was one of the biggest topics when we walked back to the bar that was behind us. I was talking with Lee from Girls on Games, and we both at the same time were like, so the fire on those rockets looked terrible, and the smoke
it looks a little
real
rough.
bad.
It looks early. It just doesn't look anywhere near
I think
launch.
it's shot by shot, because the long neck animal we saw, right? Like that shot was gorgeous. I thought
wasn't that in the No Man's Sky trailer? I'm sorry, it was so like it was so
right
there.
Yeah,
of course, it was there.
The mining
doesn't this get into sort of like the conversations I think maybe some people were having about Elden Ring as well? Like, you know, what we saw, was it impressive? Probably not. But like the trade-off that is there is vastness. And in the past, you can make the argument that maybe some of like Skyrim or Fallout, were they so vast that you were okay with some of the trade-offs and visuals? In the end, probably not. I'm curious, when we dive into this thing, is that an okay trade-off? Or are we just not allowed to have a game that doesn't look ridiculously blow your eyeballs out of your skull great, and also have 1,000 planets? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just we're not the audience for a seemingly endless game. And all I
am very much wondering. I may just not be in the audience for this game at all.
I am very much the audience for like. I can't wait to play hours and hours. I made a joke this morning on Twitter. I put the GIF of Matt Damon from Saving Private Ryan, and I'm like, this is what I'm gonna look like when I finish this game. Like, I'm gonna age, because like I'm gonna want to go to all the planets. Like, I watched the space flight, and we're watching the trailer right now, and it's got me even more hyped again, because when they went from the planet and just flew up into space, like in No Man's Sky, I get it, but still, when they did it and they started doing the space battles and all that, I was thinking about it in my mind, and I know I talked to you about it, Sean, like creating a different ship that I know that I'm going to go into the space and fight the pirates when I'm up in space and so on. And like, For me, I'm a huge space guy, huge Star Wars guy. This looks very cool to me. I want to like pretend I'm doing a Kessel Run, I all that kind of stuff. Like that's for me, it's cool. Will I get bored of it? We'll see. Hey, I played 90 hours of Assassin's Creed Valhalla twice. Once on Xbox, once on PlayStation. Nice. So for me, I guess I can do this and I can grind games out. And this game looks like a grindy. If you don't want to grind a game, this isn't the game for you because it looks like an RPG that is a grind.
That's optimist
what I'm looking at it. It's a grind.
The optimist in me, I was trying to think like, all right, what if they're doing like, let's just say, and I have no idea if this is real or not. I'm literally just speculating. But if they're doing this procedurally, is there any chance that as you colonize these planets and start building up certain resources that procedurally they push in like missions and characters and like the story builds out as you colonize? Because that's a whole lot of systems at work. And if they can pull that off, it could be amazing. It really could be amazing. They just didn't show me that in this trailer, and that's the thing.
This is like the first trailer we've gotten.
If that's what they're doing,
we'll get a story trailer.
Tell me that.
But yeah, you guys are, I think, kindly making concessions for it, Court and Kevin. But like, we spent 15 minutes on this thing. Like, it's not like it was just a quick trailer. Like, here's your first glimpse at it. Like, they dove in. They told us what they wanted to tell us. So, and this is why I love podcasting with you, Donnie, because that's everything that I was trying to get out, which is what you articulated so nicely. Like, what are the economies at work here? What are the relationships? Like, can I have a wife on every single planet? Can I have a little side piece somewhere? You know, like, let's live out our space fantasies. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just...
I'm with you, Sean. If they had given me any...
You trying to marry Matt again?
What?
Are you trying to marry Matt again? You married him today, right? So I was just wondering.
You know, does it? What happens on Stardust 7979 stays on. Stardust
I get what you're saying, but I'm looking at. I'm not making concessions. To be totally honest, I'm making. This is what Bethesda does. Like when everybody was freaking out and we didn't get a trailer for this, I'm like, Bethesda waits like 6 months before a game comes out and they put out a trailer and then they'll put out a little blog post before.
This was supposed to be 6 months before it came out.
No, I get that, but this game wasn't ready. Like I didn't think it was when they just only were giving us not even screenshots, like artist rendering. Yeah. I did a whole video about it on Xbox A where I was like, this game ain't coming. Like there's not a chance.
Give Xbox and Bethesda leadership. Like, honestly, my immediate takeaway from this demonstration, I was like, thank God they delayed it. That must have been a really hard choice for them to make. They had promoted it all year long. They set their entire year on it. And I was just like, I'm so happy that they decided to give it more time.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely a great move that they decided to do. And yeah, if it just needs that extra time to polish it, because I think... More of the thing, I'm kind of in the same camp as Kevin is with this one, where I'm really sold on the concept of this game. And the combat itself, I thought looked really impressive, just leaps and bounds over their previous games, more or less. And I was excited to play this game as long as a lot of this technical stuff gets fixed. And if that gets fixed,
and it will,
and as long as there's stuff to do, like
especially with the delay, it will.
I'm very happy about the day because my biggest fear was not just that it was going to be a Halo Infinite, that it was going to be another Cyberpunk. Like that was my fear. With you,
what they showed reminded me a lot of Cyberpunk. Like the No Man's Sky comparison. Like when you see the people talking and you see the rough edges of the gameplay and everything, I was like, yeah, this is kind of like Cyberpunk 1.0 is like kind of the state that this game is in. All of a sudden, when people start talking about those comparisons, they've talked about it, we've seen it rumored and stuff over the last month, it's like that really starts to click in my head. Yeah, it's like that's probably kind of where they are right now.
I'm with Sean. I hope this game doesn't come out to the end of 2023. I'm almost, this sounds terrible, I'm almost happy that Halo Infinite came out unfinished because it definitely did. As someone that played the review copy of it and then also played the,
I don't think anybody's going to argue with you. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it's still incomplete.
Yeah. Now it's just a matter of what's in the pipeline. When is Hellblade coming out? When, that like they've just got to manage these releases because some, like we've been talking about these big games for a long time, and suddenly they're all going to collide. It doesn't seem like it gets much bigger than this one. As much as I would love them to just delay it for a year because that's probably what's best for the game. Now you look at the portfolio, which is maybe a whole other conversation.
I mean, 2023 looks pretty stacked.
Yeah, it does. But Matt Booty even said that like the Xbox has too many games, they're struggling with scheduling.
Yeah,
and I don't know about you guys, I'm expecting Avowed to fit in there too.
Yeah,
I was surprised it didn't get showed when they said that, because when we walked in, we were told, like, we were kind of given, hey, what we're going to get showed today is going to be for the next 12 months. Like, that was something I got told by the person from Xbox Canada. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then when they didn't show Avowed, I'm like, ooh, wow.
Oh, that's
like,
interesting.
It was rumors that Avowed was going to be coming out,
when they said it was
right?
for the next 12 months, I went the opposite way. I was like, well, that means Avowed won't be here today. Maybe they'll show it Tuesday. Because I was thinking Avowed would be the next fall game.
No,
like
well,
after June.
This is only June to June, right?
It's June to June, and I was thinking
I have
Avowed's
a funny
like
feeling that
October.
thing that we did eventually talk about, that embargo stuff that we have watched videos of, that everybody else hasn't seen the videos of, but we all got to talk about those said videos. I have a funny feeling that stuff that we watched, some of that will be in there in this 90-minute presentation.
I mean, they sound like it was more just deep dives on the games.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, we're gonna get more Forza.
But yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get new announcements of new.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
If everything that they have for 2023
it's
stays
late, Sean.
and doesn't get delayed, let's say it all stays within the year, and then you add Deathloop, Ghostwire, and Avowed to that, that's a hell of a year.
Well, Deathloop's supposed to be this September.
I hope so.
It will be.
Yeah.
They said a year.
Yeah,
So
and then
September, no matter what, that's September.
Ghostwire's next March. So
Yeah. And then if you add the Activision and they drop all of that in the Game Pass, like that year, next year is when it really starts.
Yeah.
It's gonna get messy.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, so that concludes our talk on Starfield, and now I think it's time to go around the room for one last chat to kind of just decide, what we thought of the show overall. To give you guys a second to think, I'll start and say, what this thumbnail said, because actually I'm usually the one who pitches the ideas for what goes on our thumbnails to Kato, who makes all of our thumbnails. Huge shout out to Kato for making those for us. And the thumbnail says right on it, Xbox has games, and that's something that was really brought across to me anyways from this presentation, is that, we hear all the time from people, naysayers out there, Xbox has no games, they got nothing, why even bother owning an Xbox because there's no games there. But this showcase proves that, in fact, Xbox has games on it that are worth playing. Lots of games that I'm excited about, but also things that, even though I'm not excited about, that I'm excited that other people are excited about. Like, there was a lot of really promising looking stuff here, but more than anything, what really impressed me about this show was how many new things we got here. Things that were like new IPs, things that weren't Gears or Forza or Halo or even traditional Microsoft type of experiences. Like the Obsidian thing is a perfect example of that, that I'm blanking on the name of just now.
Pentiment,
thank you. Like, that game looks interesting and diverse, even though, again, it's not the type of game for me, but I like the fact that they're exploring the space a little bit and trying new things. And we saw a lot of Microsoft published things, or a lot of things they're making deals for that are not outside of what we traditionally expect from Microsoft. Yeah, like even something like Wulong, for example, from Team Ninja as well. Like, that's not the type of thing you usually see on Xbox. So this showcase really proved that Xbox can be a diverse environment for a bunch of different types of games, a bunch of different styles of games from a bunch of different developers who maybe are working with Xbox for the first time or haven't been working with Xbox since the original Xbox era. And I'm excited for the next 12 months of Xbox. When they put out that graphic after the show was over with, 40 or 50 games on it of what to expect in the next 12 months, as long as nothing gets delayed. And I couldn't be happier to be an Xbox owner coming out of this showcase. And I told Court this after the showcase ended, but I truly believe this was one of, if not the best showcase Microsoft has ever done, at least in recent memory, at least in the last 5 to 7 years, at least for sure in the Xbox One era, for sure. Like, I think there was a ton of games and a ton of reason to be excited coming out of this showcase. So I couldn't be happier with this. But I'm going to move on to Court next. Court, what do you think about the showcase?
I felt, I know we talked about it, Ryan. We talked about it in depth right after, but I felt it was put on a different hat here. If you're an investor and you're putting money into Microsoft, you're okay now. When the last generation, you were worried, and you were probably an investor saying, can this, get out of this, we're done with all this stuff, we're get rid of the consoles, let's just keep going back to Windows and selling all this other stuff. I look at this now, and Xbox is back. This brings me back to the Xbox 360 days when they actually had games and they had fun to talk about. And this was a lot of fun. This was a lot to talk about. And if we go and look at what Nintendo hasn't done anything yet, but if you look at what PlayStation's even done at Games Fest and here, Xbox had an actual traditional E3 showcase that we haven't seen in years. I'll use E3 because I know Sean loves that word. So I was very impressed with what I saw. I was more impressed with the investment that I saw from Xbox. So I saw them investing in Japan. They saw the sales of the Xbox Series X early on there, and they keep rising steadily, and they invested. And they probably already were talking to Atlas and talking to Kojima, but they invested in Japan. And then they saw that PC market, and they were like, we want a piece of that as well. They saw all these different markets, and they invested to be not just a gaming console. They invested in Game Pass, and it was very smart. And that's my takeaway. They were very smart, strategic, and that's it. They were smart and strategic.
Nice. Donnie?
I thought it was mission accomplished. When the Starfield delay came out, a lot of people were concerned about the near-term releases, about their Game Pass subscriptions. And my commentary back then, a few weeks ago, was just give it a month. Xbox will always put a premium on Game Pass, as I have been screaming from the rooftops as long as I can. That's the business. That's the product. That's what they're doing these days. It's always, always, always about Game Pass. Whether their first-party studios are there or they bring in a bunch of indies and third-party stuff to fill it out, they will always have a premium on Game Pass, and Game Pass always delivers. So in that regard, I think mission accomplished. I personally thought last year's showcase was better. With everything that last year, like in hindsight, we know what hasn't released from last year for all this stuff, right? But the showcase itself, just the showcase, I thought last year's showcase was better. But that doesn't mean the showcase was bad by any means. It was a very good showcase. Mission accomplished. We knew that this year, we've always known that this year was going to be a lighter year than normal, and that the future is very bright. And I mean, if this is how they bridge to 2023, they built a great bridge.
Absolutely. Sean?
It's a nice bridge. I felt like they showed that they were listening on the whole. These are the next 12 months of Xbox, because what I think is one of the most deafening narratives that has happened in the Xbox community, or people commentating on Xbox over the last little while, is that, oh, we just keep having to wait until the next year, and we have to keep waiting until the next year. The conversation isn't. It's almost worse than Xbox doesn't have games. It's Xbox is always waiting until the next year to make an impact. And the messaging around this is the next 12 months of Xbox, I felt like was designed specifically, maybe to Court's point about being strategic, it was designed to dismantle that narrative, that there's nothing to do on Xbox until 2023. What I took away from this is there is a tremendous, if not overwhelming, amount to do on Xbox over the next 12 months. The graphic that they've got of what's happening in 2022, what they've got in 2023 is crazy. I do want to have that printed out at Staples and put on my wall so I can at least keep track of all of this stuff. I think
you don't want to get you like a nice print of like a Clobrill custom job, Sean?
I was looking at those as well too. He does a very, just free marketing by somebody else. What are people doing? Oh my gosh. But to the point, like, my takeaway was, holy crap, like Turtles is later on this week, which obviously part of Summer Game Fest, not this. And then there's DLC for Forza Horizon, which I love, happening, I think, on the exact same day as At Dusk Till Dawn, or whatever that game is called. Like, it's
Dusk Falls.
It's starting now. Like, it's not like we gotta wait. There is an overwhelming amount of games coming to us right away. It's all coming to Game Pass. The most of it's coming to Game Pass. This notion that we have to wait another forever, that there's this continuing moving goalpost for games on Xbox, is totally wrong. I think that was the best thing that they could have aimed for with this thing, in addition to everything else that you guys have also said. Geographically, representation across Japan and different genres and a variety of games. But I felt like the biggest thing that they needed to tackle was, we keep having to wait for games. And they did it without even telling us about Halo, which is crazy. They talked about the next 12 months about Xbox, and Halo's not even there. And maybe that says something more about Halo than anything.
Yeah, as I say, that's...
But I also think on the flip side is it says a lot about where Xbox is at now too, that they don't necessarily have to rely on just Halo. We got a double dose of Forza, but there we are, man. I thought it was very good, B plus. Because one of the things that happened we didn't really talk about was every single time it said world premiere or console, we were like,
world premiere.
I was saying, give me Quake, and Ryan or Court was saying, give me Banjo. We didn't get those games that some of the more or less. We didn't get GoldenEye. Like, there's things that people were
Give it a couple weeks.
We thought it was a shoo-in. I'm sure that we'll be there. I'm sure it'll be the whole Nintendo thing that's being rumored as well. So it's hard to go. This was one of the best when I do think there were certain things that could have taken it over the top. The big showcase that they had at the end, which was Starfield, didn't land for me personally in the way that I think that it could have. That might have just been my own expectations being out of line, but I also think it's years and years of hyping a game that we don't really know anything about. Yeah. We finally saw it. So very, very good. But yeah, analyzing the marketing and the messaging from Xbox is very fascinating. And I could talk about that for hours.
I didn't say it with mine, but I definitely think there was a case to be made they could have trimmed some of the fat on it. I think that might be my biggest point of contention with it. There's just a lot of stuff in there that, again, Tuesday.
Yeah, there's stuff that we came out of it. The first thing Sean, me, and Ryan were saying, we had our 5 minutes of what it was, and then we were like, wow, we have so much content we can do because we know every single game that is coming out for the next 12 months on Game Pass.
Can plot it out.
And we even said that to the PR people at Xbox. We were like, wow, this is going to be so much even better for them. Like, remember we were talking about how they were like, have these beats.
People don't care about us talking to PR people. Who cares?
Moving on. Just hanging out with Stein and,
I know, like, the other nobody hangs out with these people. Who cares?
Sean does. But I'm giving the final word to our other guest. Kevin, what was your feeling on the show overall?
So coming out of yesterday, I was in, this was a B showcase. Like it was okay. And I saw that going around. I was talking to like Luke, Laura over from Xbox Expansion, obviously, and other people in the community. Everyone on my show kind of felt in the same, like it was a fine showcase. But the more reaction videos I watch and the more like recaps I look, I'm like, you know what? This had a lot of games that I'm genuinely excited for and that I'm going to play. I just kept writing. I'm like, oh, I like that one. I like that one. So I feel like in retrospect, like as I've had time to marinate in it, this was a really good show, actually. And I think what people are missing is that, was this as hype as last year or the year before? No. This was not as hype as the last 2 years because we didn't get those giant game announcements. We didn't get the Fable. We didn't get the Avowed trailer. And I think that is what you fall into two camps. You either want to know the games that are coming out, or you want to be just genuinely excited and you want those big reveals. I personally think Xbox needs to stick with this format going forward. Stick with the 12 months. Our showcase is 12 months. We're going to show you every game coming out, and we're not going to announce games 4 years ahead of time because that's how they get in trouble. That's how they build expectations. We're like, well, where's Fable? Even though like everyone that understands game development understands that game's years away still. So
no kidding.
I'd like them to stick with this format, have it set, and if people don't like it, I don't understand because they're giving you games to play sooner than those big giant announcements. My last point is that while I think this sells Xbox more to the Japanese audience, I think overall this was primarily to sell Game Pass. Less Xbox, more Game Pass.
Yeah, especially because you can definitely play it on phones and on TVs now, and I think that's the market they're trying to breach with Japan, because it's not even just about selling them Xboxes. Like, if they can sell the Game Pass subscription on their PC or their phone, like, that's how they'll get them, essentially, with some of this stuff. And I think that's the direction they need to go in with some of this stuff. And yeah, to Kevin's point as well, like, I think the main reason I was also excited about this, too, was just we got, like, it was, yes, it didn't have the big megaton announcement, but it had so many games that looked interesting and fun to play that looked like they were going to be quality games. And I think that matters more to me than the one or two megaton announcements, essentially. Although to me, a personal megaton announcement is something like Persona coming to Xbox.
I think they had several of those.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, they did. But I that's why I don't even think they needed something like a Banjo or
no, they didn't need them.
Like that.
Diablo, because Persona, they had Kojima.
Yes.
They had a lot of standout stuff on it.
Plenty of them.
0 out of 10.
Donnie's
no
making
Banjo.
me feel silly about my B+ comment. Like, is that more A- kind of scenario? Like, maybe it is just the Starfield as a send off.
I mean, I'm a B, but I mean, for all the reasons that I gave, I don't think it changes my grade. But I think they had the megaton announcements that people want. I think they had them.
Agreed.
They were there for me.
Well said.
Yeah. No,
I'm on a binary scale now. 0 out of 10, no Banjo. 10 out of 10
not
Banjo.
binary.
That is
0 out of 10.
You either have Banjo or you don't
Deca
have
something.
Banjo.
That's exactly
the
how Banjo
binary.
fans think.
Yeah. Well,
You-
Sean, before we go, do we have enough time to crown a champion of the predictions?
Oh,
Oh,
God.
snap. Well, I think it might have been Ryan, actually.
I
Cue
think
Rocky
it's-
music.
Very
Definitely
quickly,
not me.
very quickly, I have 0 points saying that there was going to be a streaming device like a Ouya shaped kind of thing at 149. Didn't happen. I thought there was going to be a digital version of the Series X for 399. That didn't happen. I thought Quake was going to show up. That didn't happen. I thought Halo Infinite Battle Royale was going to happen. No. GoldenEye, not a chance. And that the last thing was going to be some sort of Fallout New Vegas remaster. Ryan Turford nailed his first prediction. Every syllable of this. Forza Motorsport not in 2022, confirmed at the showcase for 2023, and Forza Horizon 5 Horizon DLC coming this summer. Obviously, crushed it, gets 9 points there. Marcus Phoenix Collection, Gears 2 Ultimate in October. Nope. Final Fantasy 7 Remake integrates September, Game Pass Day 1. Where is Final Fantasy 7?
Well, there's the Final Fantasy 7 conference on Thursday, Sean.
So, to be determined, I suppose. Dark Pictures Anthology, The Devil in Me on Game Pass. Nope. Persona 5 and 13 Sentinels on Game Pass. You get half of that, dude. You get Persona 5 on Game Pass. So that's what is 9 points? So you got 18.5 points out of this. Kevin comes out, says Xbox Game Pass Family Plan is announced with pricing and no date. Surprised to not see that anywhere. Maybe Tuesday. Maybe that's a Tuesday thing. Plague Tale Requiem out
I feel
today.
like that'll be like a blog post thing. Like they might
Possibly
allude to it, and then they'll just.
That's what we
talk
said at
about
the
it.
time he made that prediction.
Seemed like it would have been last week, to be honest with you.
They just don't seem to get into. I feel like the last maybe 3 or 4 years, they've gotten away from business talk in showcases. They used to do that, and now they're just none of that. They don't do any of that anymore.
I thought Plague Tale was going to come out today. It showed up, but I'm not giving you any points on this one just because it showed
Fair.
up. So 0, a big 0 on that one. Tales of Arise, Elden Ring coming to Game Pass with the DLC for Elden Ring. Nope. Rise. This was your long shot. Rise, Son of Rome sequel. No. Banjo-Kazooie game remake or reboot.
I believe in that though.
No.
It will come.
Rise, Son of Rome.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
it's coming.
So we are ready to crown the Ryan Turford. Congratulations.
I actually won a
Nostradamus.
predictions episode. This never happens to me. That's why I'm so excited right now.
Crushed it, man.
I usually end up with no points, but somehow I managed to get
Many
2.
points. You got lots of
Smashed
points.
it.
Good for you.
That's true. Well, anyways, I think that's going to do it for this episode, this extra special episode of the Xbox Drive. But before we go, we got to make sure our special guests get some plugs in. So, Kevin, where can people find you on the internet? Where can they find Project X Talk, of course?
Yeah, you can find us at Project X Talk on Twitter, on YouTube, on all audio podcast platforms. Head on over there, listen to us, review, rate us. You can find me at the Muffin Mon. It's 1 instead of an I and an O instead of an A over on Twitter. And you can come join our Discord. You want to hang out, have some fun with us. But thanks so much for the invite, guys. Love hanging out with you.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Ken. This is awesome. And Donnie, where can people find you?
Hello, I'm Donnie Reece at Eat the Hype on Twitter. I pod weekly on a podcast called Play Some Video Games for the outlet named PSVG. You can type PSVG into any of your podcast players. You can find all of our shows.
Nice. And Court, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Court Lalonde, or you can find me as the Carpool Gaming Twitter account.
And Sean, plugs go.
Sean Capri on Twitch and Twitter, and buy our merch so that you guys can wear this super comfy hoodie and wear it as silly as possible on youtube.com/carpoolgaming.
Is that what you're doing right now? Because Lucklith in the chat wants to know what you're doing.
What am I doing? I'm just, what am I ever doing, man? Just here having fun.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, like Court said, on YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and on podcast services around the globe. So, for Kevin Ainsworth and Donnie Reece and Court Lalonde and Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been the Extra Mile for the Xbox Drive, all about the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase, and we're out. Bye. Greater than